some doors here. Just closing some doors. Howdy, howdy. Hang tight while I wait. Just I can see you guys, but I don't know if you can see me yet. So I have to wait till I can see me, and then we know we're good. I will tell you though, I have been having a few sips of wine before we started. Just a few though, don't worry. Don't worry. It's all good. Alrighty. Hi guys, happy Wednesday. Yeah, happy Wednesday. To think there for a minute what day it was. I better have another sip though really quick, right? Oh, are we skipping? What? Oh, what's going on? All right. Tell me if we're, I'm seeing that it's very like choppy, very, very choppy. And usually if I can see that, something weird is happening. Because if I'm seeing that, then you're probably seeing that too. I'm not choppy. Okay, that's so weird. Like I'm like, being one of the mimes in like Central Park, all weird like that. So this will be interesting. Yeah, really bizarre. Anyhow, hello. Happy Wednesday. Nice to see you. Nice to have you here. If we have not met before, my name is Lael Kankar. I have a business called Lael by Mail. Nick's in the other room on. It's fine here, honey. I don't know, for whatever reason, it's me. My iPad, which is just bizarre. Yeah. Anyhow, I have a business called Lael by Mail. When I'm not traveling, we are usually together on Saturdays doing what I like to call creative listing. Tonight, Wednesday night, because I am traveling this coming weekend. So sometimes we switch things up a little and do a weeknight creative listing session instead of a Saturday. So here we are. Creative listing, basically what we do is a couple of days before we're together, I publish a couple of different listing topics on my blog at laelbymail.com. And when we're together, take those listing topics and I write lists. I add lots of things to them. I add stamps and stickers and dies and pattern paper and washi, all different kinds of things. But really when it boils down to it, what we're doing is we're telling a story. And we are telling a story in most cases, if you list with me, we're telling a story about ourselves. I've been creative listing for about, maybe 10 years. I think it is 10 years. I think it started in April of 2015. Some of you have been listing with me for the last 5 years, which we started doing this in the early onset of the pandemic. And we have been here together and having fun ever since. It is, in my opinion, a very easy and approachable way to document your life because we are making a list. Oh, you guys hang on one sec. We kind of have a family. Oh, what?
Dawn?
Oh, Dawn's. Yes, I did see that. Thank you, honey.
I want to make sure you saw
No,
it.
I did. Yes, thank you, though. I will. So, I have to warn you guys, Nick may be in and out updating me. We have an adult child who is in the ER now for the second day in a row. So that's Jack, our older son, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we're getting texts from his fiance because they're back there again, and Nick may be coming in tonight because I said I will be offline for the next couple of hours, but Dad will be keeping me posted. So they're in Washington State, so there's really nothing we can do from afar. But I'll talk about that in a minute. Anyhow, and I will also read the chat because Don Garrison, before I started, I saw a comment that you left, and then Nick just walked in showing me his phone and pointing to your comment. So I will definitely talk to that as well. Anyhow, what we do with creative listing, it is a very simple, easy, approachable, in my opinion, way to tell your story because you're making a list. Today, one of our list topics, well, interestingly enough, list topics were set before this ER thing was going on. One of our list topics is, I'm calling it deaf ears, advice that I've given my children that I wish they would have listened to. It just so happened, honestly, it just so happened to coincide with what's happening in the last couple of days. But so those are things we're kind of telling a story. If you are a parent, or maybe if you're a grandparent, or this could be You could switch it and say advice you've given friends, advice you've given family, advice you've given coworkers, advice you've given pets. But it's an easy way to kind of tell a story, and that's one of the stories that we're telling tonight. I think a lot of people are afraid to write or maybe tell their story because they feel like they have to be Ernest Hemingway. This way, all you have to do is make a list, and we can all make a list, right? We've been making lists all of our lives: shopping list, grocery list, to-do list, maybe bucket list, maybe wish list, maybe Christmas list, maybe I don't know, lots of different lists. So anyhow, that is in a long story short-ish. What we're doing here tonight. All right. So, if you are watching live, welcome to you. There is a live chat that takes place. So, if you're of course you're on YouTube. You can chat with us, and I love it when you chat with us. So, you can pop into the chat, tell us that you're here, tell us maybe where you live, tell us something that's going on in your life. That is really fun for me to be able to see, but also fun for the rest of the community. Everyone that's here to be able to kind of know who's here, and this is where we'd like to connect. So if you want to say hello, would love it if you do that in the chat if you're watching live, and if you're watching in the replay, welcome to you as well. In the replay, although you can watch the chat as it took place, you can't participate in the chat because it's over. So if you'd like to pop in and say hello, leave a comment, that would be awesome. While you're here, thumbs up. If you give me a thumbs up, that is the best way, one of the easiest ways, painless ways that you can interact with any content creator that you are interacting with or watching with or lurking or whatever it is. So thumbs up is always very well appreciated. Before we start or really get started and get rolling, I'm going to stop and take a look at the chat. We'll kind of see who's here, and then we'll talk about some housekeeping items, some schedules and things like that, and then we will flip the cameras and get rolling, all right? So that's the plan. Hydrate, right? Hydrate is really important. That's one of the things I'm going to talk about this evening. I think maybe related to the ER, and I don't want to share too much because it's not my story to tell of what's going on with one of our older kids, but you guys know I'm kind of an open book, and some of you know all about my life because, like I said, I'm an open book. But hydration is important. So while we are listening tonight, sometimes I forget to hydrate. Make sure to hydrate, okay? We'll take a hydration break or two. That's water, that's not wine. Have no fear. If that was wine, we'd all be in trouble. This is wine. So I'm going to have a little sip, and then we'll take a look at the chat and see who's here, all right? Reggie is sitting across the room with us, the cat. We'll hope that he is cooperating and goes into his little bucket, right? Let's hope. Let's hope. All right, now I need to put this somewhere where the cat can't get at it. So just put that right there. That'll be good. All right, let's see who is here. I'm still looking a little blurry. That's very odd. It's also a little bit crooked. Anyhow, it's all good. Hello, Marion. Nice to see you. Amy, hello. Thanks for joining us. Amy is my right hand, and she will be here chatting it up in the chat. And then as I am working with product, a lot of the product that I'm working with is my own little mail product. Other products I'm using from other manufacturers, but Amy will be dropping links in the chat to my website. So if you are interested in something that I'm working with or want to see it a little bit more about it, you'll see those links in the chat, and then you can just pop right over onto website by clicking that link and see what products I'm using. That's if you're watching the chat. If you're watching the replay, there is a link in the description box of the video to a page on the website called What I'm Using. That is very specific to this point in time. So that What I'm Using page changes frequently. Basically, right before a new listing session, it will change. But anyhow, easy to find things. If you can't find something that I've used, just shoot me an email and we'll make sure to help you find it. So, Amy, thanks for coming. Sarah, hello. She's Sarah Fawcett. Glad I actually made it on time. Hi, Wanda. Kathy. Kristen. Hi, Kristen. It's been a little while, I think. Nice to see you. Kathy Rodriguez said hello from warm Southern California. Laura Cahill from Rocky Mountains in Colorado. Kathy, the crowns and numbers, and this may have already been answered. It's something that YouTube turned on at some point, maybe a couple months ago. It has to do with chat. And the more you chat, the more YouTube gives you a crown and tells you if you're number 1 or number 2 or number 3. I don't know. So kind of just a fun way to see that you are there. Wanda, we got Wanda. Kathy, we have, let's see. Dawn, there we go. There's Dawn's comment. Dawn. So Dawn's comment, if you missed it, said, so glad to be here tonight. Today I finished my last cancer treatment and now I'm officially cancer-free. And that just goosebumps, Dawn. That is, congratulations. That is amazing. And you probably felt like you've climbed a mountain and fallen off the other side of the mountain and climbed again. And it's probably an incredibly repetitive and stressful and painful process, emotionally and physically. So congratulations to you. That's so exciting. I'm so excited for you, and I'm glad you shared that with us. A lot of us here feel like we're family, right? We feel like we're great friends, even though most of us have never met. So I'm glad you shared that with me, and I'm glad you shared that with the rest of the community, so that we can all cheer you on and tell you congratulations. So good for you. So happy for you. Gerda, hello. Gerda, Hot Central Texas. Ms. L, hello, hello. John and Kathy Keener, hello, Kathy Keener from West Virginia. Carol from Central Canada, hello, Carol K. Mary J. Blige is in the house with us. Kristen, oh yeah. See, now I'm like reading, and I know I've already said hello to some of you. I'll say hello twice. Hi, Mindy. Always fun to see you when you pop in, Mindy. You're recovering from surgery. Well, I am glad to be here to help you recover from surgery, right? Whatever it takes, whatever I can do to help you guys get your minds off of the craziness out in the world or out in your personal life, I'm here for that. But I'll also tell you that you were here for me for that, because when we get together and do our creative listing, it takes me out of everything else I'm in, and we're here and present and playing and creating, and I love that. So I love that for all of us, right? Love it for all of us. Mindy, I hope you're recovering well. Hello, Heidi Gilpin. Sarah P, not choppy there. Yeah, it's so weird. Like I'm like this in the air right now, and it's frozen, and I'm way behind. I don't know. Very bizarre. I'll have to look at that in a minute. Hi, Heather Graham. Lisa, hello. Hi, Cindy. Scrolling. Thank you guys. Thank you. Wishing Jack all the best. Yeah, I don't know. It's the second day in a row, so it's kind of crazy. I don't know. Yesterday they called Nick, and was in a lot of pain, and Nick said go to the ER. And so they were there for like 8 hours, and if you've ever been to the ER, that's just kind of what happens. You're just there for a long time while they're triaging and doing whatever. But they did CAT scan. They thought maybe it was kidney stones, but nothing showed, and waited forever for someone to read the CAT scan. So sent him home with some kind of painkiller or whatever, and said take it easy. And then today he called me this afternoon at maybe around, I don't know, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever it was. And he did not, you could tell he was in incredible amount of pain. And so he said, we're on the way to the ER again. And luckily this time they got him in right away. So they never put him in a bed yesterday. He sat in the waiting room the entire time. And so today they put him right in a bed and gave him, an IV of something to take the pain away, and it kind of knocked him out. So now they've done CAT scan and blood tests, and so I don't know. We're hoping it's something. I don't want to say something simple, because I have never had a kidney stone, but from what I understand, they're incredibly painful. But in the grand scheme of things, I hope it's something simple as a kidney stone, and they figure out that's what it is. But I think maybe some of his, kids. He's 27. They sometimes aren't taking care of themselves and not hydrating properly, which I think that's part of what it is anyhow. So we'll just hope that everything is good, and that's part of what things like this, when we're together tonight, good for me, because now we'll be here and we're working together and we're creating and we are enjoying it, and kind of helps to take your mind off of things, right? Especially when you're, I don't know, I'm in Utah, he's in Seattle, so when you are that far away, there's really nothing you can do. So we'll see. I will keep you posted the next time I see you. Yes, lots of bell ringing for Dawn. I love that. Love it. Carrie, if you will remind me again when I flip the camera. Sometimes I forget. You guys are always so good about reminding me to plug in, because if we're not plugging in, we will die. We will lose our power, and then it'll be over. Jillian, thank you. She said, I love your shirt. So cute. This is a shirt my dear friend Vicky Booten gave to me probably, I don't know, 10 or more years ago. Little scissors on it, and it's so fun. Yes. Nick was like, you changed your shirt. It has scissors on it. And I'm like, yes, it does. It does, yes. Anita said, yay for weeknight listing. Almost bedtime yet. East Coast. I know, it's hard when it's East Coast, West Coast. I try to pick a time that, you know, it kind of works for people getting off work and before people go to bed. But that's the beauty of what we do here. If you can't make it for the whole thing and you can't make it live, you can always watch the replay. So, Heather, the paper hoarder, said she needs this crafty time tonight. Me too, Heather, paper hoarder. Me too. All right, friends, let me just keep kind of scrolling. I love it that you guys are all giving Dawn loads of congratulations and hearts and bells and things. Let's see. Christina, hi from Dallas. That's funny. Kristen said, I like being called twice because yeah. Carrie. Oh yes, Carrie is now, it looks like, going to a virtual retreat that I'm teaching at in November. 3 Craft Chicks retreat and teaching my brand new December documented mini book class. All right. Don said, thank you, everyone. And yes, I very happily did ring the bell. That has to be the most amazing, incredible feeling in the world. And for the amazing people that work in cancer treatment centers, that has to be the most rewarding feeling in the world, is to be there when a patient is ringing the bell. I'm sure it's kind of bittersweet for them because I'm sure they really grow to love people and they're part of, you know, feel like you're a part of their lives, and then they see you happily like walk off into the sunset. So it's just wonderful. Wonderful, Don. All right. Oh, Carrie, your daughter with meningitis. Yikes, right? All right. And Pam is here from Wichita. All right, friends, and sending prayers for Jack. Thank you. Okay, friends, so let's do this. And thank you, all of you that, you know, I just kind of skipped through, that said you're thinking and sending positive thoughts for Jack. Thank you very much. I know he will appreciate that. All right, let's just talk about a couple of housekeeping items before we flip the cameras and start playing. This weekend is Labor Day weekend. I will be out of town, so we are not listing this coming Saturday. The best place to go if you are wondering when we're listing, Lil by Mel Facebook group. The listing schedule is always pinned to the top there. Lil by Mel Facebook page. The listing schedule is always pinned to the top there. On every blog post for our listing, there's always a link to the listing schedule there. And for the most part, there's always a listing schedule at the bottom of the emails that I send out. So I try to make sure you know when we're listing. I do put the listing schedules out 3 months in advance. So we are nearing, September is kind of that last of the 3 months, and I will sometime next month put out the schedule for October. So the other way is to just subscribe here to my YouTube channel and turn on notifications. That way it'll let you know when we're doing something, and then you just kind of know, right? All right. Earlier this week, I released my second paper crafting collection, Dear December. It is a holiday themed collection. If you missed that, you can watch the replay of that here on my YouTube channel. It's shipping. I did the live for that on Tuesday night, and Wednesday, yesterday, it started shipping. So it is in stock shipping with the exception of the metal die, and that's a couple weeks out yet. My December documented mini book project kit that uses the Dear December collection this year, that one will be shipping about 3rd week in September. So, but that is also live up on the website. You can see the cover and some kind of sneaks peeks of some inside pages. Mid-September, actually, before I get to mid-September. Next week on September 5th, do you believe I'm even saying that? September 5th is next week, like holy cow. September 5th, the fall holiday season pass will go up for sale on the website. Everything is in stock now, so I'm just kind of giving a little bit of breathing room between a big announcement this week and then that being released next week. So watch for that starting on September 5th, the fall holiday season pass kit. And then mid-September is the bi-monthly stamp and die release. So lots of fun things new coming. Lots of fun new things coming. Yeah, that's not a wine talking, I promise you. That's still a little bit of, believe it or not, jet lag. I'm close to being back to normal schedule, but not quite. All right, friends, I think that's all, housekeeping for now. And if I think of something else after we flip the camera, then we'll chat about it. So let's do this. Let me turn off overhead lights. move the studio lights, flip the camera, and then we'll be ready to roll, but not all in that order, okay? Okay. Amy has been diligently, it looks like, adding links to the chat. So she has added links to the new Dear December collection, the December documented mini book project kit. Oh yeah, and the listing schedule. Thank you, Amy. We all thank you. We thank you. All right. Wanda's always glad when Amy's here. Wanda, anytime Amy is not here, I tell her, I said, Wanda always asks about you. Wanda misses you when you're not here, Amy. So I make sure that she knows that, Wanda. All righty. If you are new to what we do here, Creative Listing, welcome to you. Every time we're together, I like to do giveaways. All right, I like to do giveaways. I like to share. That's one of my love languages. And so we always do at least 2 giveaways. We do one live. So if you are here live, you can participate in the opportunity for that giveaway. And then I do what I call an after party giveaway. So the after party giveaway takes place in the comment section of the video once I am done, once the video is done. So I always will tell you what the prize is while we're live for the after party giveaway. And then right before we are together listing again, for example, tonight, right before we were listing, I go to those comments, I just scroll my finger, wherever my finger stops, that's the person that wins. That's just random, right? That's an easier random way than doing a random number generator. And anyway, that's the random. So I did that right before we started, and the winner of the after party prize for last Saturday's giveaway is Kate Bo 50. Kate Bo 50, congratulations, Kate Bo 51. My This Is Us Traveler's Notebook kit from last year, one of my Traveler's Notebook project kits from last year. So, Kate, the way you know that you win a prize is I leave a comment, a reply to your comment, and tell you what to do. So, if you're ever wondering about giveaways, after party giveaways, that's what that is, and that's how you know if you won. So, congratulations to Kate. Now, the other giveaway that I always do is a live one. And the live giveaways always happen via the chat. So just kind of keep your ears open. At some point, I'll say, okay, we're going to do a live giveaway. And in a few minutes, I will stop and I will scroll my finger up in the chat. And wherever my finger stops, that's the person that wins. So kind of keep that in mind. All right, when we were together last, we were just barely together. Let me just do something here if I can. Let me try to fast forward that and see if I can catch up with you guys. All right, there we go. Let me do one more thing. I'm going to change my little setting here to quality. It thinks the quality is, let's try higher picture quality. See if that works. Oh, I don't even know. We'll see if that works. Because what happens now is I am watching. I can see what you guys see as I'm working. So that if anything does kind of anything happen, then I kind of know what's going on. And it's still slow. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Okay. So let's take a look. When we were together on Saturday, we did 3 lists. Let's take a look at those 3 lists. That's usually how I like to start out. So the first list that we did is something that I usually do about once a year, and it is a This Is Us list. So we kind of do 2 different versions of this. Every year I'd like to do a This Is Me list, where I am every year, actually I might as well find it. Let me find it and bring it up because we just barely did it. This is me. So every year I do a list about me. Basically just a run-on list, like things about me in what was my 56th year. I'm no longer in my 56th year. Last week was the numbers changed from 56 to 57. So I barely squeezed in at the 56. But this is just kind of a fun list to do to kind of compare and contrast maybe how you're similar from a past year and how maybe you're different or changing. So that's the This Is Me version. Last week we did This Is Us. So I've done the same thing every year this is probably the last 3 or 4 years, I want to say, with my husband, Nick. Some of you feel like you know Nick. He pops in every now and again and says hello or pops into the chat, but you do the same thing. So we, this year in May, celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. So when I do with This Is Us list, I'm kind of talk about maybe how we're similar, how we're different, some things that are unique to us, like my age, his age, things that are similar, like we've been married for 30 years, and just some different traits and things like that. So that's kind of a fun one to do. And we did that one as our first list last week. We used some die cuts and washi from the Bow Bunny Color Me Beautiful, or so, I can't remember what that's called. It is, hold on, I'm just looking in my little cupboard behind us here. It is called, there it is. Colorful Story, not quite, Lael. It's called the Bow Bunny Colorful Story Collection. But they're beautiful die cuts, flowers, and a little butterfly, and some fun washi there too. So that was the first list that we did last week. Now, sometimes we may do a list like this, and you think this is us. Well, Lael, that doesn't really apply to me because I don't have a partner. I'm single. And I say, well, guess what? That's okay. Do you have a friend? Because I've also done a This Is Us list. I did one last year about my dear friend, Vicki Booten, and myself. So did the same thing. Picture of Vicki and I, or actually a picture of Vicki and me. And then just kind of wrote how we were alike and how we were different. You could do that with siblings. You could do that with parents. You could do it with friends. You could do it with pets. So it's really important to me that when I am kind of coming up with listing topics, that I'm thinking about everyone. I'm not just thinking about my life and this is us being married for 30 years. I think you'll find that the majority of the list topics that we do, if they don't directly apply to you, you can kind of spin them a little bit to make them work. So I never would want someone to not participate because the very specific topic that I am listing on maybe doesn't apply to you. So just kind of keep an open mind when it comes to that. Carrie said, I love how you change the list around. There are so many options, and there really are, right? Absolutely, there really are. Now, Wanda just said something. She said, about me would have been so much better 20 years ago. There's kind of two interesting things here. Number one, you know what? You could do a list about you 20 years ago, right? Why not? Why not do a list about you 20 years ago? Grab a photo of yourself from 20 years ago if you have one. If not, don't have to have a photo. And then make a list of who you were at 50 or 20 or 10 or 70 or whatever it is, right? So that is one way you could do that. It doesn't have to be current. But another way that you could do it, so Wanda, you say it would have been so much better. But you know what? Who decides what's better, right? I mean, who you are now is still really good and amazing person. You were probably very different. Most of us are probably very different than we were 20 years ago. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it now of who you are today. You know what they say, if I knew then what I know now. What you don't want to have happen is 20 years from now going, oh my gosh, 20 years ago, it would have been so much better. Well, you know, people say these are the good old days. Right now, these are the good old days. So kind of keep that in mind. And you know what? If your this is me now is, you know, I like to wear comfy clothes and sweatpants, and I like to go to dinner at 9 o'clock and get up at 8, and I like to watch Hallmark Christmas movies, and I really like cream of mushroom soup, and I really don't like hamburgers, then you know what? That's okay, right? It's okay. And I would think that people in your life would want to know those things about you at some point, whether or not you think it's really fun and exciting. So I'll get off my soapbox, and you know, Wanda, I'm not just talking to you, but you happen to be the one that said that. So that gives me an opportunity to kind of talk to everybody from that perspective, right? You know, I always think that, and I've been, like I said, I've been creative listing for the last 10 years or so. What I think would be really cool is if I was doing this 20 years ago. I would love to go back and look at some of my lists, like what a typical day was like 20 years ago when I was in college, when I was a young professional, when I was a new mom, right? Because things change so much, those different stages in your life. So I really wish I'd been doing it back then. Also wish I had lists like this, my mom and my grandma. Like, how cool would it be if my grandma had a list like this one? We'll go back to This Is Me, when she was 48, or when my mom was 62, right? It would just be a really kind of neat thing for future generations to kind of go back and look on. And future generation doesn't have to be kids. It could be friends, it could be family, it could be, you know, lots of different people in your life. So just kind of keep an open mind when it comes to some of those things. Sarah P said you have to start somewhere. And Wanda, I love that you said that. Wanda said, I plan on doing that. Good, good, good for you. Kathy said, Lael, you're so good off the cuff. Well, I don't know about that, Kathy. You know what? I will tell you, it's all from the heart. Everything that I say is 100% from the heart. So I'm glad that you feel like that I'm sounding like it's off the cuff. I very much appreciate that. All right, so that was the first list I did. This is us. The second that we did together, right? This was the second list, things that make life sweet. On this one, we used the Cherry Sweet collection from Frank Garcia, a Prima collection, Frank Garcia. So this was a really fun, I really had a lot of fun working with this collection. These two girls, little gals, I fell in love with in the collection. And so that was kind of the impetus for me to work with that collection. But things that make life sweet. What's really fun when we are together listing, the things on my list are probably very different from the things on some of your lists. There may be some things that that really make life sweet for me that might make life a huge pain in the you-know-what for you, right? We're all different. That's what kind of makes what we do a lot of fun. Now, when we were doing this list, I started out stamping. So I stamped my title. And as I was stamping, I made an executive decision while I was stamping to not stamp those three middle words. So I started out with things and I started out with sweet and I left those three blank. And I said, you know what, you guys, I'm going to wait. I'm going to finish the rest of that later because watching me stamp each of those letters one by one is kind of like watching paint dry. And I explain I'll do another title with alpha stamps and I'll explain why it's one by one. But anyhow, and I said, so hey, before we're together again, I am going to finish stamping that. And this evening, I did that. And I did the same thing that I did when I did the similar thing last time. I stamped my A backwards. I did the exact same thing when I did an A last time. And here's just kind of a little piece of advice. When you do something like that, don't start over. Don't cry. Don't try to figure out a way to put something over it. Don't not finish it. Embrace it. So look what I did. I wrote, oops, A. I stamped it backwards. I'm not perfect, but that's how we know that it's not AI, right? That's how we know that it's not artificial intelligence doing that. Although sometimes it seems like they do that, right? Like someone has three heads. You're like, that's not AI. It has three heads. But anyhow, so I like stamping titles like that. And yep, it's an oops and it's an oops. And we all have oops. So, all right. The last list that we did is a list that we do on a monthly basis. There are a number of lists that we do on a monthly basis. This is one of them, and this one is called In the News. This one I had so much fun with because I did it very differently than I normally do. I did a little bit of, I cut this little lady holding a TV set. I think that's a TV set. It looked like it to me. I cut her out of a collage book. And I'm going to use that same collage book again tonight because I really had kind of a lot of fun. It really changed up the look of what I normally do in some of my lists. So whole idea behind In the News is I make a list every month of some of the things that happen in the news that hit my radar. Now, things that might hit my radar may be very different than things that hit your radar. I will tell you, I have made a very conscious effort over the last probably 6 months to attempt not to use a lot of politics in this list. And not just for me personally. There's just a lot of really divisive things happening, at least in our country, from a political perspective. And it doesn't matter which side of the spectrum you're on. It doesn't matter if you're left or right or center. It's just, things just seemed very full of vitriol and hate and divisiveness. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to not have my entire list be about politics. So the one thing I commit to you guys when I do this list, and I ask you the same to commit back to me in the chat, is that it's just the facts. All I'm doing is saying Hulk Hogan died, Ozzy Osbourne died, and Malcolm Jamal Warner died in the month of July. I'm giving no commentary because even though those things may seem on the surface to not be very divisive, to some people they may be. So I do no commentary. It's purely just the facts. I did some stamping and created a little tip in. I printed my photos, adhered them back to back, and then used some tip in tape to create that little tip in the center of my spread there. All right. So those were the 3 lists that we did when we were together on Saturday. I am getting to the very end of my traveler's notebook insert. I only have a couple of spreads left. And when I'm doing my creative listing, I like to use a traveler's notebook insert. I always say there's only 2 things that you need to play. You need something to write with and something to write on. Beyond that, it's up to you, whatever you want to do. And even when it comes down to the something to write on, it could be a composition notebook, it could be a spiral notebook, it could be a 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper, it could be, I don't know, a hotel napkin, whatever you want to do. But I like to use a traveler's notebook insert. One of the things that starts to happen when I get kind of towards the end of my insert, it gets really bulky on this side. So I will be strategically kind of reorganizing the order that we are doing our list in tonight to try to kind of work around this a little bit. It's easy to do, but I'm going to skip to our second list. We're going to do our second list first. Our second list that we're doing first is, okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me look. Oops. Yeah, we're all talking about oops. We do it. It's right. And Sarah P, I love that. She said, it's part of the story. It's part of the story that we're telling, right? It is. We're not perfect. At least I'm not. I don't know. You guys may be, but I'm certainly not. Looks like that with an accent. Yeah, that could be too, right? Made with love effect. I love the way that you put that, Sarah. It's a made with love effect. All right, let's see. Mary C. Plan said, I'm totally intrigued with the collage book. I have been working in my junk journal, kind of that collage style for a little while now. So we're actually one of my lists. I am going to really kind of embrace that today. So we'll kind of see what that looks like. But I am going to kind of dip the toe in the water by showing you something on our first list. So our first list, the topic for the first list is what I love about going on vacation. Now, before you say, Lael, I haven't been on vacation in 20 years, I think I'm going to have to turn this off because this doesn't apply to me. I say, you know what? Remember, we can twist the list topics for whatever works for us. So for me, it's what I love about going on vacation. For you, it might be what I love about the weekends. It might be what I love about driving, what I love about reading. So really, this can just be a what I love list, what I love, fill in the blank. But for me, it's about what I love going on vacation, Nick and I just came back from a bucket list trip celebrating our 30-year anniversary. We went to South Africa. So my first list is what I love about going on vacation. I am going to work on my list. I call it off the page. I will be using 2 pieces of pattern paper as the base of my list, similar to this list, right? 2 pieces of pattern paper as the base. And because I'm using pattern paper as the base, as opposed to working directly on the insert pages, that means I can work off the page. So I'm going to put this off to the side while I work on my list. And then when it's done, I will go back in and adhere it. So what I love about going on vacation, I thought I'd show you very briefly what I did to prepare to go on the trip that we just went on. And don't worry, I'm not pulling out my suitcase and all my to-do lists and things. This is what I wanted to show you, okay? Nick and I went on a trip to Scotland and Ireland 3 years ago. It was supposed to be 5 years ago for our 25th anniversary, but 5 years ago was 2020, and we all know kind of what was going on in 2020, not a lot of travel, right? So I kind of came up with this whole concept as we were getting ready to go on that trip. On that particular trip, we were going 3 different countries. We were in Amsterdam for a couple of days, then Scotland, and then Ireland, each for a week. And we were doing a lot of traveling within each of those countries. I think there were only 3 hotels in 18 days that we stayed at for 2 nights. Everything else was 1 night only. So we were on the go a lot. And we had decided early on that we were going to take each of us a carry-on and a backpack. I will tell you right off the bat, I've never done that in my life, and I will probably never do that again. But for that trip, I'm not that type of packer, but for that trip, we knew that was what we wanted to do. So knowing that I wanted to document the trip along the way, I really had to kind of wrap my head around how I could do that, knowing I couldn't take everything but the kitchen sink with me, right? I just couldn't do that. So I came up with a format for my traveler's notebook insert. I drew everything out ahead of time, and the traveler's notebook insert was all that I took with me. Now, of course it's not. Of course it's not. Oh, hold on. I would really like for this to be here because I think it helps to illustrate what I did. Oh, here it is. Okay, good. This is what I did, and I redid it again because I wanted, long story. I turned it into a whole e-course. But so for that entire trip, I did this. I had it laid out day by day, what city we were going to be in, what hotel we were staying at, how many miles we were driving or walking, what the weather was, and then I wanted to document the top 3 things from each day. So for that trip, this is what I did. And that made it so I could take just this little notebook with me, a black pen to write with, and I brought a little tiny pack of colored pencils along the way just so I could decorate a little bit. So that made it possible for me to basically have that trip entirely documented when I came home because I had all the details down. And then the stress went away. I wasn't worried ahead of time about how I could kind of get things ready, but how many pages do I need to leave for each day, and where do I leave room for photos and all that. Took all the pressure away because all I was doing was just writing kind of the facts of what happened each day. And then when I got home, then I could turn it into whatever I wanted to turn it into. So for the trip that we just came back from South Africa, I did the same thing. This is what I came back with. So more than what I started with, but basically this is what I started with. I started with a little, one of my craft storage pouches that I carried my traveler's notebooks in, my little inserts. I didn't take a notebook with me. I took 2 with me. All right. The reason I took 2 with me was because the trip was longer than what would fit in one of my Document Your Travels traveler's notebook inserts. So that format that I just showed you, after a lot of requests, turned into a themed traveler's notebook insert that basically has a lot of that information, kind of that format already done for you. So it had your little space up here. You could write your day there. You've got your boxes up here to capture hotel or what city you're in or what have you. Distance down here, temperature, weather, and top 3. So I think this was the day we were traveling, coming home. So I haven't finished that yet, but this is what I came back with. Every day, I sat down for about 15 minutes. I had it all laid out, ready to go. I had some things pre-stamped, like we saw here. I had some things pre-stamped ahead of time. That made it super easy for me to just sit down for a few minutes and write what happened, write my top 3 things, so that now that I'm home, I have all of the information, all of the details from that trip, that now when I'm ready to actually sit down and document the whole thing, I can sit down and actually add my photos and do all the things that I want. So that is what I took with me. This is what I came back with. I also had these 3 little pouches. They had nothing in them when I left. There were kind of 3 main parts of our trip. We started in Paris for 3 days. And this is where I captured all of my little paraphernalia, memorabilia, tickets, tickets to the Eiffel Tower, airline tickets, all different kinds of things. So that's Paris. We were in Johannesburg for a day. That is everything for Johannesburg. And then this is everything from the 2 safaris that we went on. So I have all my memorabilia. Everything is organized when I am ready to come back. Or no, I'm back, sorry. When I'm ready to sit down and document everything now and add photos and all the fun things, all the fun memorabilia and so forth. It's all here. It's all organized and together. So guess what? No stress. If it takes me a year, 2 years, 3 years to get it all done, then so be it, right? I have everything together and I'm not worried or stressed about what I'm going to do. All right, so I just wanted to touch on that a little bit because it's going to dovetail into a couple of other things tonight. I'm going to leave this little guy out for a minute too because we'll also kind of dovetail into that conversation. And some of you have since then taken my Document Your Travels e-course because that e-course basically, I don't know, there's I think 5.5 hours of content in that e-course where I walk through kind of the whole thing, preparing ahead of time, getting everything ready in terms of getting your traveler's notebook ready. So you're taking minimal supplies with you, how to document on the go, organizing your photos on the go, putting it together when you get back and so forth. That incidentally, from that trip, the Ireland-Scotland trip that we did, it is done. It is now done. So basically, I've documented all the things kind of for the 3 different parts of that trip, dividing this into 3 sections. There is the Netherlands, so Amsterdam, kind of what we did in Amsterdam, our top 5 favorite things, photos from the trip, highlights, and then this is my favorite part, the junk journal part. This is where it pulls in all the memorabilia and the postcards and the stickers and all the things that I grabbed and cut up just to kind of help to put the trip together. But yeah, that trip is documented. Ireland is done the same way. A couple of different little junk journal styles there, and the same thing for Scotland. So, all right. And that, like I said, we'll dovetail into a couple of other things tonight that we talk about. Some kind of that junk journaling style that I'll do on one of my lists. All right, I need to grab my fan. I need to just learn that I need to have my fan already going when we start because I'm roasty toasty in here. So, my list topic, what I love about going on vacation. It could be what I love about travel. Like I said, it could be what I love about going to work. It could be what I love about my job. It could be what I love about my house or my family or what I love about reading or, whatever it is. Gabby asked, are those clear envelopes in your shop? Oh, yes, they are. And Amy, thank you for linking those. I appreciate it. Dawn said she did my traveler's notebook for a trip to Alaska last year. She made 4 more for her mom, sister, cousin, and aunt. They were a hit and a wonderful way to document our Alaska cruise. I love that, Dawn. That is so cool. And I love that you did that for your family too. I kind of did something similar. My mom and her best friend just went on this trip with us to South Africa. And I gave them, here are your traveler's notebook inserts. Here's a Sharpie pen. Here's a little thing of colored pencils. And here's a little craft storage pouch to hold it all in. And my mom, she's like, I don't really know if I want to do this. And I'm like, hey, no pressure. You don't have to. But her friend Gail jumped all over it and loved it. So, yes, I love that you did that for them. Hi, Brenda. Nice to see you. All right. Okay. So our list, what I love about going on vacation. I have pulled out a couple of different things here. I am going to be using products from my postcards and passports collection. So that was my first paper crafting collection that I released in May. I pulled out a couple of papers. I need to create some bases for my list. This will be a 2-page list. So I pulled out a couple of different things here. Some I had already cut for something else. I know that I want the right side of my spread to be out of this paper. So let me grab my trimmer and I will trim that down. When I'm creating a base in my, I don't want to use this trimmer. This is not my favorite. It's probably my least favorite trimmer. Least favorite. All right, let's do this one. When I'm creating a base for something in my traveler's notebook. My traveler's notebooks that I use in my Lail by Mail traveler's notebooks are standard wide. So they are 5 inches wide by 8.25 inches tall. All right, that standard is 8.25 by 4.33. So standard wide is just wider than standard. So when I'm creating the base of a page, I like to trim that to 4 3/4 by 8. The reason I do 4 3/4 by 8 is that gives me a nice white border all the way around my page. All right, so that is 4 3/4 by 8, and that's just what I like to do. You can do whatever you want. So that when I am ready to add this list back into my insert, it will go here, and I'll just have, like I said, that nice little white border to kind of ground it. So that's going to be the right side of my spread. Now the left side, I could do this. I could do this guy. We won't see a ton of the pattern because it will be covered up mostly with a piece of white cardstock where I will write my list. I also pulled both of these out. So let's see, how tall is this guy? Let me see if this is tall enough for me. I think it is. Oh, it is. All right, so let's do this. I'll make this one 4 3/4. I'm not sure if this is the one I want to use tonight because, not tonight. I'm not sure if this is the one I want to use because I have another idea on what I might want to do with that same color. So let me also let's do this one, I think. Oh, that backside is good though. All right, so let's do, I've used this rainbow so many times. I just love it. Let's just do the rainbow. Why not? All right, so we need this to be 4 3/4. And I also know I need it to be 8, but I want to think about how I trim this because I'm not going to be able to get all colors in the 8, right? So if I go 8 there, I'll get into the green. Actually, maybe that's better because we've got so much blue on the opposite page. Let's do that. We won't miss the blue. All right, get this out of the way. So left page, right page. I will do my list on the left and I'll be doing something on the right. I need to grab my corner rounder. I like to round the outside corners of my list. The reason I do that is the corners of my traveler's notebook inserts are rounded. I just like the look of a round on a round instead of a kind of a square right angle on a round. So outside edges, I will round. Kathy, do you do a flip through of your TN in your travel class? I do. In that, in the Document Your Travels, in the Document Your Travels e-course, I do. I show you exactly what I did, and I really walk you through, kind of hold your hand as I did it, because, well, like I said, it's about 12 hours of content, but it's not 12 hours of, no, sorry, 5 hours of content. I think there's 12 different videos. But it's not me flipping through for 12 hours. It's me kind of talking about the whole process, giving you tons of tips and tricks for documenting on the go, ideas to kind of get it done quickly, taking photos on the go and how to easily organize your photos while you're on the go so that when you come home, you're not, messing with like thousands of photos. You're kind of culling your photos every day or every couple of days and organizing them and things like that. All right. Gabby said, I love that pink line side. This is one of the papers where you can decide which side, you can't decide which one to use because you love them both. I know, right? And in the paper pack for this collection, for the postcards and passports collection, there are 2 sheets each of 6 papers. So you kind of don't have to decide. All right, let's grab some white cardstock. Oops. Because I know I need white cardstock over here for my list. White cardstock, I need to trim. I want to make sure that I have enough of that rainbow showing, but not too much. So usually when I'm doing that, I am trimming to about 7 inches. So this is a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. White, it is smooth. I like smooth cardstock because as I'm stamping, I like to have a nice smooth texture when I'm stamping. So 7 inches, and this is usually ends up being between about 3 3/4 and 4 inches wide. It's just, I eyeball it, and then it always ends up being about that. So let's see how we did. 3 3/4 on the nose. So that's giving me enough room to write my list, but also giving me enough that I see this nice fun pattern around on that other side, right? All right, so now, what am I doing with that? I need to outline this because if you are new to layout, then you need to know that I outline pretty much everything I do. It, I don't know, to me it just gives it a finished look. So it kind of frames whatever it is I'm working on as opposed to kind of just flowing out into no man's land. All right, so there we go. That is our start. Rather than rather than stamping a title that says vacation, I am going to, I think, pull in some letter stickers. I forgot to add this to the one I'm using page. So if I remember, I'll go back and do it after, but Amy can pop these in the link of the chat, or pop these into the chat. These are the Bella Boulevard letter scramble alphabet stickers. And they come in, I think there's 16 or 18 different colors. So a very nice range of colors. But I know there will be a color in here that I will be able to pull that will kind of coordinate with everything that I'm doing. So let's see what I want to do here. I don't know. I may end up going, I don't know, maybe not black. Ooh, orange could be fun. I don't often do orange. That might be fun. Maybe we should just do that, right? Maybe we should do that. Now, I need to make sure, I think we'll fit. What I'm going to do is I have just grabbed a little small metal 6-inch ruler. I am going to put my letters on this ruler, and this will make sense in a minute. There's 2 reasons I'm going to do this. The first reason I'm doing this, I think I'll use this font. So I have lots of different fonts to choose from. Ooh, or I could do, maybe I'll do this one. I'll do this guy. So adding my stickers to the ruler, there's 2 different reasons I do this. Number 1, there are no lines on my white cardstock here. So if I use one of the lines on that ruler, I can make sure that my title will be fairly straight, right? Fairly straight. Might not be perfect, but it should be pretty close if I am using that line to line things up. So that's the first reason I am going to use the ruler. So while I pop these on, let me see. Make sure I haven't missed anything. So if I miss something, sometimes I get going and I miss things. If I miss something that you wanted me to see in the chat, just type it again. VACA. Now, normally before I start spelling a word, I would double check to make sure I had enough letters to do it, right? But because this is kind of a brand new sticker sheet, I haven't used many letters, I know I'm okay. So this is an example. You can see on this sticker sheet, do you see I have these little black marks next to some of the letters? When I start getting, fairly deep into a sticker sheet, before I commit to starting to pull letters, I will spell the word and I'll say, maybe let's just say I wanted to spell the word Maine. I would go M, okay, and I put a little dot there. MAIN. So then I would know I was okay, because the last thing I want to do is start pulling off the stickers and then realize, oh shoot, I don't have enough of the letters that I need. That is one at VACA. That is one of, there's pros and cons to using stickers. There's pros and cons to using stamps, right? Stickers definitely take less time. It will take less time for me to place these stickers than it will if I were to stamp each, at least for me, because I stamp each letter individually, if I stamp each letter individually. So stickers take less time. Stickers are also less expensive. VACATION. Stickers are less expensive. Kind of. Maybe. It depends. If you are not spelling a lot of words, then stickers would definitely be less expensive because you only need one sticker sheet. But if you want to spell lots of different words, or if you want to, or if you want to have different color letters, then stickers are way more expensive than stamps, right? So pros and cons of both, and I use both freely. But sometimes you just want to use stickers. Sometimes you just want to use stamps. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. All right, so that was the first reason I used the ruler, so that I could kind of get everything on there straight. Second reason for using the ruler is it makes it very easy to place that entire word. I can move it around here and see exactly where I think it's straight, centered, right? Do I want to be left justified, right justified? Do I want to bring it over here instead of at the top? Do I want to bring it at the bottom? Gives me a lot of flexibility. So instead of trying to do math and go, okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means 4 and 4. I find the center and go 4 left of center, 4 right of center, but oh shoot, it's not exactly right because my eye is narrower than the other ones. This makes it dummy proof, right? So all I do is, kind of move it around till I think it looks centered, and then I'm good. Now, I'm going to leave a little bit extra room at the top because I need to write the rest of my title. What I love about going on, right? I need to do that. So I think if I place that about right there, that'll be good. All I need to do now is press down on the top of those letters and gently roll that ruler out from underneath. And then I want to press down really well. Okay, you want to press down really well on those stickers to make sure that they are nice and adhered. And there we go. There's my title. That's a fancy name for orange. It's orange. Not all of them are like that. Golf, that's a nice different name. That one's golf, but this one is called orange. We're calling a spade there, I guess. All right, things I love about going on vacation. So if you go on vacation, what's something you love about going on vacation? Is it packing? Not me. Is it coming home and unpacking and doing laundry? Not me. I don't like either of those things. April said yes. Stamps and inks are an investment in choice. Oh, I love the way you put that, April. Most certainly. Stamps and inks are an investment in choice, an investment in options. I love it. I've never heard anybody word it that way before. I'm going to do a little line there as a separator between my title and then my list here. So, things I love about what I love about going on vacation. So what I love about going on. Okay. What I love about going on vacation. All right. So there we go. And this will just go right there. Let's go ahead and adhere that down. Oh, Kristen, new food adventures. Yes. Wanda said leaving town. Loves to leave town when she goes on vacation. Earlier this year, we did a list about micro adventures, right? Those are kind of little small things that you could do in your town. And they don't have to be, they could be an hour. They could be exploring. They don't have to be where you're staying overnight or traveling long distances, right? So it could be something like that. Even, what I love about micro adventures. Food adventures. Oh yeah, absolutely. Karen said seeing the sights and places along the way while there and all the way back and taking photos, all of it. Absolutely. Gabby, trying new food and restaurants. Escaping reality. Yeah, right. Escaping reality. Pam, I love popping into stationery stores to get a postcard from the area. And I love popping into stationery stores when I'm traveling, right? Nick, not so much. But he just knows me. He knows, well, I really don't have a choice. He's got to let me do it, right? Because it's part of who I am. Let's be honest. He doesn't let me do anything. I don't need to be let to be done anything. But yes, he's very accommodating of his life. He knows. I'm like, hey, it also ends up being part of my business. Well, like I said, that whole Ireland, Scotland trip for 18 days, I ended up turning into an e-course about how I documented it. All right, so let me look at my list. How many things do I have on my list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 things on my list. It's funny, Nick came in earlier and he's like, what are you listing about? And so we were chatting about that. And then I said, this one, what I love about going on vacation. He goes, oh, I know. He said, I love not having the TV on when I go to sleep. So there's something very weird about Lael. When I'm home, I have to have the TV on to go to sleep. I have to. And it drives him crazy. When we're traveling, I never have the TV on. We don't have the TV on when we travel ever at all. But specifically when it comes time to go to sleep, I don't have the TV on. I don't know what it is about, home or away. And I'm like, that's funny. Gabby likes collecting magnets. I love it. Wanda collects thimbles and postcards. Joy likes trying new restaurants and stores. Carol loves learning about a new place. Carrie said, I feel like we need a who, what, where, when, why, how in Lael's handwriting. I had to interpret that, Carrie. I think maybe, I don't know if it was auto, maybe it was like AI trying to write that for you. Amy can make a note of that easily, right? Because that's easy for me to do. That's an easy stamp sets when I'm just writing for sure. Lisa said her husband follows her into stores begrudgingly. He's a good sport. He is a good sport, right? Kristen, another thing she likes not having to clean. Kathy likes seeing new things and being with the people I go with. Ah, very good. Karen, have I done a list of what roles that Nick and I each have in our marriage for fun? No, not really, Karen. So that would be really fun. I kind of get into that just a little bit when I did the This Is Us. Well, really, just that he cooks and I don't. Probably that's the only role that I really talked about. But I think that's a really fun idea. I like it. I'll have to remember that. Belinda said indie bookstores. April, experiencing new flavors and trying to recreate them at home to prolong the experience of the place we went. Oh, love that, right? I've got so many food pictures traveling, and I'm not one of those people that takes pictures of food because I like pictures of food. I take pictures of food to try to remember so I can, well, not I can make it later, but so Nick can make it later, right? All right, so what did I say? I have 6 things on my list. So I think what I'll do is the mini icon travel sticker. Stamp, golly. Mini icon, this is not, that little thing right there is not what it's called. It is called postcards and passports. No, it's called mini icon. I don't know what it's called. Mini icons travel too. Don't mind me. I promise you it's not the one I'm talking either. Usually at the end of a day, when I'm tired, then things go a little skimwampus. All right, so I think what I'm going to do, I will use one of these little stamps for each of the 6 things on my list. Let's start with the little globe. How about that? Now, ink color. What ink color do we want to use here? We have lots of options for ink colors. When I released Postcards and Passports collection, I swatched the Distress Oxides that I felt went really well with the collection. So any of the Postcards and Passports products that you see on the website, you will see this image of those swatched colors. So this makes it really easy for me to go, what do I want to do? I don't know. It might be kind of fun to use, I don't know, maybe like mowed lawn. How about mowed lawn? Should we try mowed lawn? It's green. Let's do it. I don't really want to like change it up 6 different times the ink. I think that for me that might be a little bit overboard. So I'll just pick mowed lawn and I think we'll go with mowed lawn. All right, now I need to look at my globe. Is it kind of it is a realistic looking globe. Yes. Look there I am in South Africa right there. Realistic-ish looking globe. So I am going to just test this over here just to make sure. It's always a good idea to do a test stamp before you start, right? Make sure that you don't have South America actually up, in North America. Not South Africa in North America. Meaning it's upside down. All right, there we go. There's my little globe. So the first thing I love, in no particular order, meeting new and different people. Meeting lots of new and different people. I'm a chatter. I get in the elevator and it's like, oh, where are you from? I'm one of those people. So I like to just chat with people. And it's fun to, kind of learn a little bit more about them. And sometimes you only chat with them in the elevator. But other times you might be, sitting next to them in the airport for an hour and you start talking to somebody. I just enjoy meeting new people. So meeting lots of new and different people. Next thing I really enjoy is learning about let's see, what do I want to do here? This one, how about this one? These little buildings. Learning about history and culture. Oh, guess what? I only have 5 things. No, I have 6 things. Those are 2 different things. So learning about history. Learning about history of where I am. Yeah. When we travel, especially when we're in foreign countries, I really enjoy that. Very much enjoy that. So when we were in South Africa, we spent a few days in Cape Town, and we did a tour, and the guide was kind of telling us about an area that we went to in Cape Town. I just lost a stamp. Oh, there it is. An area that we went to in Cape Town that up until 1990, well, all of South Africa was segregated up until 1990. So there was a lot about the South African history that I didn't really know, in detail. And so we were with him all day. And so we got a lot of history, which was really neat to hear. It was really, really neat to hear. But shocking. Was shocking to think that 1990, things were still segregated in South Africa up until that point in apartheid. It was lots of, yeah. And I won't go into a lot of that because, that may not be something that a lot of people want to hear about, but fascinating, just fascinating. All right, next thing. Which one? How about this guy? No, wait. I'll do this one, this little map. This little map will be next. So learning about the history, but then also the culture. Learning about the different cultures. And you know what? Part of that is you don't have to travel internationally for that. I mean, states have different cultures, right? Different parts of your own state may have different culture. The north part of your state may have a very different culture than the southern part of your state. So we don't have to any of these things really. You could travel in your own city for all of these things, meeting new people, learning about history, learning about different cultures. So you don't have to travel far. Seeing and experiencing new things, absolutely. I'll do these little guys, this little postcard thing. It's pretty rare that we are on a vacation where we are sitting. If it's a beach vacation, part of the beach vacation is sitting, but we're still on the go a lot, seeing lots of different things. Let's see. Right, Sarah said, Lael, like you did with Pink at the pool. Yes, if you haven't heard that story, I won't tell it now, but it's quite the fascinating story. I was in San Diego and ended up striking up a conversation with Pink. Pink, the singer, at the pool for about 30 minutes. I just like to talk to people, and apparently she's a talker too, so it worked out well that way. All right. This one is seeing and experiencing new things. And like I said, vacation for us, this is vacation. So we like to see and experience new things. You may not like to see and experience new things when you're on vacation. You might want to purely escape. You want to escape from what the reality of home is. And so you want to go and, lock yourself in a hotel room and read books, and that's totally okay. It's your vacation. You might want to go and plop yourself on a beach and enjoy the sunshine and the weather with your headphones on, which is totally okay too, right? Seeing and experiencing new things. This one, we'll do this one next. The natural beauty. That is, there's natural beauty is different in a lot of places. Like one of the safaris we were on in South Africa, drier than dry, and everything looked completely dead, right? But there's natural beauty in that still, right? Absolutely natural beauty. The natural beauty of different parts of the world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the last one is checking out. And I don't mean like checking out of the hotel room. I mean like checking out. And we'll use this little guy next. trying to achieve a little bit of a like work-life balance. We'll do this. Checking out when at all possible. All right. I'll do this too. So later I'm like, checking out, what am I talking about? Work, life, balance. I will tell you, this vacation, this trip, maybe the last 3 trips that Nick and I have taken, this is way more possible than it has ever been for me in my life because I now have an amazing team of people. And I've had a team of people for a while, but getting to the point now where I can really go and do a lot of preparation ahead of time. So things still happen while I'm gone. The things that I have to, do that still have to happen while I'm gone. But Lily and Denise doing all of the orders and Amy making sure that none of the wheels fall off the bus and any of the product development that's happening. A couple of different graphic designers that I work with. So that to me, and it's taken me 57 years to get here. 57 freaking years to get to the point where I can more or less check out on vacation because we need that, right? We need to be able to check out of things. If we don't check out, then sometimes that boiling water just continues to boil and boil and boil, and then eventually it, overflows onto the stove, right? Turning off the noise. Exactly. It's right, Belinda. Turning off the noise. So important. April said she doesn't want to do any dishes. That's one of the things she likes about vacation, right? No dishes. Let's see. And then I know, and then my list, I'm like, oh yes, new places to eat. There's so many different ways. I mean, I could still keep going and going and going on this, but I've done a list like this. We did a list like this maybe 4 years ago. And as I was thinking about, I knew I wanted to do another travel themed list, especially after we came back from this vacation, because this trip was a little bit different. If I compared this list to the list that I did in the past of things that I like about going on vacation or things I like about traveling, there's quite a bit of difference. And part of that is age, and part of that was, traveling post-pandemic early on, and I don't know, anyhow. All right. So there are a couple things that I want to do over here, and part of it I'm going to be able to do tonight, and part of it I am not. But we'll talk through what I want to do. I am going to use the Destination Unknown stamp and die. If you have not seen this, Destination Unknown stamp and die. This was part of the July release. Where is, here we go. When I travel, well, this will be a good example. In this one that we looked at already. One of my favorite things to look for and buy and collect when I travel are these types of stickers, right? The oval sticker that tells you where you are. You see these in lots of different countries. You see these in national parks. They're very prolific in national parks. Pretty much every national park you go to, you will find one of these. So I've been buying and collecting and using them in my, documenting over the years. What I found when we went on this trip, internationally, I was able to find this Netherlands one, no problem. And then I couldn't find any more. I couldn't find the Ireland one. I couldn't find the Scotland one. So I came back and I had to go onto Amazon and buy these stickers for like $10 a piece because I really wanted that look in my documenting. So the beginning of January this year, I was at a retreat with some women, and I wasn't teaching. I was like an attendee, and everybody's just there crafting away. And I was talking to my friend Lindsay, and we were talking about stamps and something, and I went, oh my gosh, I know the stamp that I need to create. I know what I need to do. And it was this type of stamp. So that if you like that look, you don't have to go searching high and low or spend an exorbitant amount for one single sticker on Amazon because you couldn't find it anywhere. So that is the idea behind the Destination Unknown stamp set. So Destination Unknown stamp set has that oval, and then has a bunch of different travel icons that you could add to the oval. There is a coordinating die that goes with it, so you can cut out that shape and create your own sticker. Well, sticker. In my case, it's a die cut, but then I'll just adhere it with my adhesive. The Timmy Alpha is designed to fit inside of that oval. All right, so I've used that once already on one of my trips. This is when Nick and I were in Hawaii in February of this year. He has business every year in Hawaii, so unfortunately I have to join him. But I created my own little Honolulu like travel sticker, right? And just did HNL, kind of that's the 3-digit airport code for Honolulu. Stamped those, stamped the oval, and then die cut it out. So that is what I'm going to do for the other side of my list. And I'm going to do that with, 3-digit, 3-letter abbreviation for South Africa, which is ZAF. And you might think ZAF. Well, why is there a Z instead of an S? Z is, Afrikaans is one of the languages in South Africa, and they say South is ZUID. I don't know how to pronounce that, and that's why sometimes you will see ZAF. This is actually a sticker that I picked up in South Africa, right? That oval sticker shape, ZA for South Africa. So I thought, even though I picked that one up, and I will use that in my junk journal for documenting that trip, I definitely don't want to use it there because it's, the colors are a little off. So that's my plan. I was trying to decide if I wanted to stamp just white and do that here, or if I wanted to use a little pink and stamp on the pink and I think that's what I'm going to do. Have that be my travel sticker. I'll stamp on the pink. All right, so let's get that stamp out. I will let you know that when I released this, there were some requests for a smaller version of this. Oh, that's so funny. Amy just said, Lael, can we tell them what we are finalizing this week? I'm headed that direction now. We're finalizing right now the artwork for the mini version of this. So it is a smaller version of this. And then there's also a small little alpha that's going to go with it that can fit in there, but could also, because we had this request as well, some people were like, I'll show you another way that I used this. Let's see where that is. And I think it's when I showed this, people were like, wait a minute, this. So that's using that same stamp and die set, and I stamped PC for Park City, and then I used Poe Alpha stamp set to stamp Park City under there. We had lots of requests for a little alpha that was a sans serif small that could go under there. So we're finalizing all of that. The artwork's just about done, and I don't know. We don't have a release date yet. We don't have a release date for it yet, but I'll keep you posted. So you can always ask, right? You can always ask for something. Don't be shy. If you want something, ask for it. Sometimes we just might do it. You never know. Oh, no, that doesn't fit. Let me see here. That is way too big. Where's my in-betweener? Oh, please no, I didn't just say a weird word there. The in-betweener. I have a smaller one of that. Hang on. Let me just see. Is it in here? No. It's funny. This morning, where is that? I just had it. I remember. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. Let me see if it's in here. No, maybe I don't have one. Oh, I do. There we go. All right. I could have used this one, right? I definitely could have used that one, but here's the deal. When it comes to stamping, for me, I believe that trying to right size your stamp to stamping block or stamping block to your stamp makes life a whole lot easier. So I want to try to use my smallest stamping block that I have in relation to the size of my stamp. Just makes life easier. All right, let's get our ink out. I will stamp in black. I mean, I don't have to, but I could. I'm going to. Will there be a Timmy's alpha size to fit the new one? Carla, there is not a plan right now to have a Timmy alpha size to fit the new one. Right, Amy? Help me. Help me. We were just looking at it today. But I have like a gazillion things going on right now. And so basically I'm like answering to emails really fast and then it's out of my head. Let's see, Carla. All right, so I'm going to stamp my oval on the pink. Now, I really like the look of the black and white, but I think it kind of makes it a little bit more fun. Oh, is that Charlie? Is it Charlie? I don't even remember. There's a lot of stuff coming, friends. All right. There we go. Look how nice and crisp and clean that is, right? All right. I'm definitely like the white, so this will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if I can not use the white. And you know what? It's fun to mix it up. But I definitely love the look of that kind of white travel sticker with the, just with the black, the plain black letters. All right, so now we need to pull out the die cut machine. Get these things out of the way a little bit. Whoopsie. Get the metal die out here. Get my plates out. So this is an electronic die cutting machine. It's the Anna Griffin Empress Mini. A die cut machine, they all basically do the same thing. Whether they're electronic or whether they're manual and you have to hand crank them. You're putting a die, metal die, on top of something that you want to cut out. You're putting it in between a set of plates, and then you are moving it through the machine. In the machine, you have some really heavy rollers that are rolling that piece through. So really heavy duty pressure that's applying on that sandwich that you're creating. And so that metal die is cutting the shape into the paper. All right, so that's what we're doing here. Let me turn that on. There were loads of questions about this machine. There have been every time I use it. So I now carry those. Oh, I don't know why I did that. Why I trimmed it where I did, don't even ask me. It's because it's nighttime. I should have just trimmed it before. All right, so now we're gonna make our sandwich. So when you are making your sandwich, you're basically, if you think about making, let's say like a bologna sandwich, you have your bottom piece of bread, my bottom plate, bottom piece of bread, Wonder Bread. If we're making a bologna sandwich, it has to be Wonder Bread. Wonder Bread, my bottom plate. My mat here is our bologna, right? This happens to be a magnetic mat that comes with the machine. There's a bundle. So the magnetic mat is nice to have because it's holding our die in place. This now is going to be, so we have our bread, our bologna. This is our Kraft singles or Kraft cheese, right? Our cheese, our little Kraft singles that you peel back the plastic, right? So this is going to go down next. Then our die. So your die has a raised edge right there, and that is what is going to cut into the paper. So I do mine face down. Some people, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Some people like to cut up into the top plate. I like to cut down into my magnetic mat here just because I can see that way. Eventually you have to replace your mats, whether it's the top plate or your mat or the top plate or bottom plate or whatever it is, because you're cutting into them. So it doesn't really matter which way you do it. This is just the way I like to do it. always work. All right, so we're just gonna move that around until it looks pretty even, right? It looks pretty good. And now I'm going to put on the top plate, my second slice of Wonder Bread, all right? And I am going to put that into that little space there, and I'm going to press run. Did you hear how it kind of made a sound? And that was, you could hear the pressure applying where that is then cutting into that paper. Oh, I meant to turn it off, not hit run. So that is now cut out for me in the exact shape that I need it to be. Metal dies are pretty awesome that way. Now I could have fussy cut that out. I don't have to have the die. I don't have to have the die cutting machine, but it certainly makes it, you know, a little bit easier to do. All right, so let's put this guy away. There, and now I want to take Timmy Alpha, and I am going to grab the 3 letters, ZAF. Now, my list on the left so far was very generic. It was what I like about going on vacation. It wasn't what I like about going on this particular vacation per se, what I like about going on vacation. But there's something that I'll end up doing after that will personalize this for this particular trip. So the ZAF now has a reference. Oh, I have not used this set before. All right, so brand new set. I haven't used any of those stamps or letters before. So there's something that I need to do. And you really should be doing this for any of your new stamps. You need to condition them. Okay, you need to condition your stamps before you use them. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. And if you're like, wait a minute, what? I didn't know I had to do that. And I use my stamps all the time. Well, eventually, you end up conditioning them by using them if you don't condition them another way. The reason you want to condition or prime your stamps before you use them is part of the manufacturing process leaves a slight residue on the stamps. If you think about making, let's say you're making muffins and you have a muffin tin and you spray Pam in the muffin tin so that your batter doesn't stick, right? Something similar is done when photopolymer stamps are manufactured. There is a residue, there's a let's just call it a spray. I don't know what it is, but they put into the mold so that when they pour the polymer into the mold, that it doesn't stick, it releases. So you end up with a little bit of residue on the stamps. You can't see it. It's invisible. You can't see it. But if you've ever tried to stamp with a brand new stamp and your ink doesn't quite cover very well, and you're like, well, that's weird. Why is it doing that? That is why. So what I do is I primer condition before I start, before I use them. And I do it for the whole sheet. I don't do it one stamp at a time as I use them because that's just, you know, it would take a long time each time. So what I am doing, this is the way that I prime my stamps. It's one of a couple of different ways that you can do it, or at least, I mean, there's probably more ways, but I like to take a little rubber eraser and I just gently erase over the top of all of those letters. Now, there's a lot of letters on here, so it's going to take me a hot minute to do this, but, and I'm not pressing super hard. It's not like I'm trying to erase my 3rd grade spelling test, right? Where you'd rip a hole in the paper you were erasing so hard. I'm just lightly going across the top. So it is getting rid of that residue. That is one way that you can do this. I have a little short free class here on my YouTube channel that walks you through a couple of different methods of priming or conditioning your stamps. Doesn't really matter which one you do. I just really recommend that you do one because I think you'll like the outcome a lot more if you are doing it. So that's one way you can do it. Once I clean it, I need to now come back in and get any of the little like eraser tailings off. So I'm just taking my stamp chamois and just kind of cleaning that. Some people, well, you can actually just stamp a bunch of times. So you could, you know, get my 3 letters out here. I could apply ink and stamp on a piece of scratch paper, apply more ink and stamp, more ink and stamp, more ink and stamp. It depends on the stamp. It depends on the ink. It could take you 4 or 5 times of repetitively doing that before you get a nice solid stamped impression if that's what you're going for. So for me, I think it's easier just to do that and call it good and it's all done and ready to go. I really want to dry that before I apply ink. That is a very important part of the process, especially if you're using a pigment-based ink. Pigment-based inks are water reactive. So if you have a water reactive ink and you have a stamp that has a little bit of moisture on it, and you put those two together, you may not be getting the outcome that you expect, especially for certain colors. You probably wouldn't notice that much on black. But certain colors, you'll have some reaction going, and you may not get the color that you were anticipating. So drying is an important part of that process. And I just use a microfiber towel to dry so I don't transfer any little fibers or hairs onto the stamp. Another way that some people do it is some people will take the stamp and just like put it on their arm or their hand. For me, I don't know, call me type A, but if I do that, because I have lotion and dry skin and all kinds of things, then I feel like after I do that, then I probably need to then clean the stamp to get the lotion or the dry skin off of the stamp that I just transferred. I put the residue here, but then I just picked up the dry, whatever. So that's the way I do it. Doesn't really matter what way you do it. I just recommend that you do something to condition your stamps before you use them for the first time. But once you've done that, you don't need to do it again. All right, so let's take, I'm doing ZAF. ZAF for South Africa. ZAF. Now, you will see when I stamp letters, I don't stamp them all on a single stamping block. Like, I have a stamping block, right? I could put ZAF all on the same stamping block and just do one stamp. I like to control how far apart my letters are. I can't get my letters close enough the way that I like them because you have a little bit of a buffer around each stamp. So you can't quite get them as close as you want them, at least for me. So that is when I come in and stamp each individually. I've grabbed a smaller stamping block. Remember, you want to right size your stamping block to your stamp if you can. I could have used this, but this is way easier to handle for that size stamp, and I get a better stamping impression that way, in my opinion. All right, so ZAF. I'm going to do the A in the center first because that's a pretty easy way to go about things. I will test it first. Always good idea to test first. Okay, good. I don't have any little hairs or lint or anything on there. Got a nice stamped impression. And so let's put the A right about there. That looks pretty good. That's centered-ish, right? Centered-ish. All right. Ooh, nice and crisp. My stamps are photopolymer stamps made in the US. So there really is, in my opinion, everything I say is my opinion. I believe there's a big difference in quality between an acrylic stamp and a photopolymer stamp. They're made entirely different material and different, I think, manufacturing process, but definitely different material. Usually the way you know is price. If you are buying a 6x8 stamp set and it costs you $2, well, good luck finding something like that because they really don't exist. But I'm trying to make a point. If it seems really inexpensive for what you're buying, that's a pretty good idea that it is an acrylic stamp and not a photopolymer stamp. In my opinion, again, I think there is a big difference in quality, especially when you get to some smaller or more intricate stamps. I think that's upside down. That's another reason you might want to test your stamping first, right? To see if you have something stamped upside down. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. All right. Here is my Z. Funniest thing. So, when you're on safari and you see the black and white striped horse, you know, the black and white striped horse that starts with a Z. Pretty much the rest of the world calls it a zebra. Zebra. We here in the US call it a zebra. Now, I don't know if there's other countries that call it a zebra instead of a zebra. So I was joking with our safari guide. I'm like, oh yeah, zebra. I'm like, look, there's a zebra. And I'm like, we sound like silly Americans to you because we're like zebra. And he goes, well, yeah, I have a question. So do you call Deborah Debra? I thought that was so funny. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Debra? We don't call Deborah Debra. I don't think so. But we call zebra zebra. That was kind of funny. I'll never forget that. Anytime I meet a Deborah, I'm going to be like, oh, do you want to hear a funny story? And she'll be like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny, Lael. Zed, I know, Zed, right? For Canadians too. It's most of the world, I think. I really think it's most of the world. I think so. Alina said, I've never done creative listing before, but now you are obsessed. I love that you are obsessed. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm obsessed with it too. I think it is very, for me, it's very therapeutic. Oh, okay. I just tapped that just a tad. And it's a really fun way to be creative. Quite a few people that are here that do creative listing scrapbooked in the past. And I'm not saying that maybe they don't still, but and I hear from a lot of you that say, you know, I scrapbooked for years and I kind of lost my passion for it, and my kids got older and my grandkids got older. I gotta fix that. My grandkids got older and, you know, I'm not really doing it anymore, but I miss the kind of, you know, crafting this way. And so creative listing is a way to kind of still scratch that creative itch, right? All right, so that is ready. That is going to go over here on the other side of my spread. And this is where my list is going to end for this evening. Well, actually, it's not quite going to end for this evening yet because I need to do one more thing. So hang on. I'm running out of room here. I need to outline this guy. And then I'll come back and outline the other side. Like that. And then I'll do this guy. I am going to create a pocket out of that destination unknown bit. When I say a pocket, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and put adhesive along the bottom and kind of those little edges so that I can later print some photo strips, like photo booth looking strips, and then tuck them into that pocket. That's what will make it very specific to kind of what I love about vacation, or what I love about going on vacation to this particular location or trip. So my little pocket, I'll just do a little tiny bit on the side, little tiny bit on the side. I am using score tape, your double-sided tape, because I want it to really hold, right? I could use my tape runner, but I find if I'm doing interactive things where like things are coming, you know, being pulled in and out of a pocket, that it is better to use double-sided tape like that. And then I'm only going to pull off a little bit of this release paper to start. Let me get a hold of that. Just a tiny bit. So you can see, tiny bit is revealed, and then that release paper is just folded out the edge. The reason I'm doing this is your double-sided tape like this is really good because it's super sticky and it will hold things in really well. One of the downsides about double-sided tape is that it is really sticky, and that you really only have one shot to get it straight. Because if it's crooked, it's so sticky that if you try to bring it back up again, it's going to make a mess of whatever you're working on. So this way, if I'm just revealing a little bit, that gives me a whole bunch of wiggle room. Because look what I can do. I'm touching that. If all of that release paper was pulled away, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I can kind of get it over here, figure out where I want this to go. It probably needs to go kind of low then, now that I think about it. Probably about down here so that my photo booth strips will kind of tuck in there. And now all I do is pull out those little tabs that I made myself. That one's a little short, so. All right, so now I have a pocket. Let's pretend that this is a photo booth strip, right? That can go in there, that can go in there, and then I can have a couple of those from that particular vacation. So I'm going to leave it that way for now, and I will finish that up. I'll print my photos and show you what it looks like when we're together again. So now I am ready to adhere that into my insert, right? I was working off of the page there. So this side is easy peasy. That will go right there, like so. And then when I get to, what is that? When I get this deep in an insert like this, I don't use my regular tape runner to put this down because I need something a little stronger along this edge, right? Gravity is going to make that one a pop up. So I'm going to use that same double-sided tape so that it will not pop up on me. And I don't need to use it everywhere, but while I have it out, I'm just like, I might as well just do it everywhere. All right, do that same trick again where I'm only releasing part of that, or only exposing part of the adhesive. My release paper is poking out the edges, so it's creating a little like pull tab for me after I adhere the piece down. Like that. Like that. And like that. I promise you, if you have ever put something on crooked using score tape, you're like, oh my gosh, this is like a savior. Because, yeah, I need just a little bit of wiggle room here. It has to like go beyond that edge. Down that little curve there. Okay, there we go. So, right, that kind of took me 3 times of pulling it up and then, you know, placing it and then kind of replacing it. And then that is just now nice and tight in there. Okay. Done for now. Done for now. All right. Let's see. Marsha said she loves double-sided tape because it's so easy to use and it works so well, right? It works so well. Does what we needed to do. Hi, Joe Disney fan. Nice to see you. All right, so let's go on to our next list. It is, what time did we start? Did we start at 6? 6? We did. Oh my goodness, that one took a long time, didn't it? All right, let me put these things away. So let's do a giveaway. Let's do a live giveaway while I clean up. All right, so the way the live giveaways work, you leave a comment, you post in the chat, post away, like our Post Malone friend, post away. And when I'm done putting everything away and I get our items out for our next list, I will stop. I will scroll my finger up in the chat, and wherever my finger randomly stops, that is the person that wins. So let's do this giveaway. Let's make this a choose your own prize. How about that? Choose your own prize. So the random lucky winner will get a $25 like coupon code to use on the website, so you can buy your own prize, right? You get to buy your own prize, whatever. Well, I was gonna say whatever you want for $25. All right, so let me put all these guys away. Reggie's just sleeping away over there. Good kitty, not bugging us. All right, I need to, pardon my reach. Everything is over here, so I just want to get all these things in their little container. I didn't use any die cuts on there. All right, so here's the deal. Once I get my photos in there, I will end up coming back and probably doing a little bit more. I need to do something down here, and yeah, it's kind of plain. So we'll continue to zhuzh it up a bit after I add my the photos. Okay, next list. Next list is a 2-pager. I think this one, yeah. All right, what I'm going to do I'm just looking because I have 2 more lists to do. One is directly on, well, I'm just going to do it. One is directly on the insert. I'm not having any like base background paper, which means I will be doing a little bit of stamping on here, which gets a little bit of a challenge when you get this deep because you have all this over here and it wants to kind of move on you, but we're still going to do it anyway. Let me grab something that will help though. I'm going to grab a clip. And this one is, oh yes. This one is, I'm calling deaf ears. Basically, I wish, advice I wish my kids would follow. Or our kids. I should say our kids, not my kids. All right. So I'm going to do a little bit of stamping for the title. My title, like I said, is going to say deaf ears. So let me just outline this. And then we will be ready to roll. Then I'll do our giveaway. Do my outlining first. And I was just going to ask a question. I'm like, I can't ask a question because I won't be able to see the answer because the chat's still going wild and crazy. All right, so I'm stopping, and the winner is Scrappy Lisa. Scrappy Lisa. Congratulations, Scrappy Lisa. Please do me a favor. Send an email to lailbymail@gmail.com. In the subject line, please put winner, $25 gift card or $25 coupon code, or I don't know, whatever you want to put. And I will, when I get that, I will send you a coupon code to use for $25 off your next purchase. So congratulations, Scrappy Lisa. A huge request, friends. If you ever win a prize, please, 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 when you email me to claim your prize, tell me what you won. If I don't know what you won, then I go back and try to dig and figure out what it was that you won. It will just save me a ton of time. So if you would do that, and this isn't specific to you, Scrappy Lisa, although it applies to you. You can't imagine what a huge help it is, because then I don't have to stop and go back and look. And if I have to stop and go back and look, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll do that later. And then I forget. And then you're emailing me in a week going, hey, did you get my email about my prize? Okay. All right. So I missed all kinds of chat there. If you had put something in the chat that you wanted me to see, I probably missed it, because the chat when I do a giveaway tends to go a little crazy. Just put it again. Type it again. You're crying, Scrappy Lisa. You're happy tears, right? You're happy tears. Okay. Second one. Yes, like I said, I'm calling it deaf ears. Deaf ears. On deaf ears, but I won't do on deaf ears. Now, deaf ears is a saying that, you know, when people say like things fall on deaf ears, this applies to children sometimes, like my children, our adult children that are 24 and 27, right? Sometimes you give them advice and it falls on deaf ears. Now, I am also guilty of this. Sometimes I have deaf ears, right? So it's just an expression. So if you're like, deaf ears, what does that mean? I don't understand. That's what that means. Sarah P., will you walk through the details of the season pass on September 5th, or is it just the launch? Sarah P., it is the, I'll probably do a refresher to explain to people what season pass is, because I think there are some people that weren't around in December when I first launched the whole concept of season pass, and they're like, what even is that? So yes, I will do probably that night. I need to look at my calendar. I will do a maybe I'll do a live, and we'll look at the season pass, and I'll do a refresher on what it is. Amy, will you help me remember that? Jay, can we list about our husbands? Absolutely. Shh, it's our little secret. We can list about our husbands that have deaf ears too. I don't have one of those. I don't have one of those that have deaf ears. I really do. I just don't want them to hear me. Could you hear me? Could you hear what I was saying? Yeah. We can list about, sometimes our pets have deaf ears. Joe Disney fan said, my boss has deaf ears. April said, AKA selective hearing. Yes, right? Selective hearing, right? Yes, absolutely. Carol said, can you share what is changing for Seasons Pass for next year? Carol, not quite yet ready. I have some ideas and I think what I want to do a little bit differently, but I also am going to send out a survey. I'm going to send out a survey to definitely people that have purchased the season pass in the past, but also send out a survey to people that haven't, because I'm curious about a number of things. So I have a very open mind for the way that I do things for 2026. But I want to get input before I kind of finalize what I'm thinking. Deaf ears. Okay. So let me grab a couple of things here. I'm going to grab those, and I am going to grab this. I'm going to put these little guys on this. I find I like to pull off all the stamps I'm going to use, but then I find I accidentally sent something on top of them, and then I can't find the stamp later because it's stuck to something. All right, so stamping block. Now, can I use one of these? Yes, I can. All right, this alpha is Tally alpha. So I saw someone say earlier, I don't know if it was Amy or someone else, all of my alpha stamps, with the exception of the very first one, are named after pets in our family. And family could be extended family. Tally alpha, Tally is one of Jack and his fiance's cats. His fiance's name is Cat. So it's one of Jack and Cat's cats. Reggie, a lot of you feel like you know Reggie. There are several Reggie alpha stamp sets. Reggie is one of our cats. So, all right, deaf ears. Deaf ears. So I want to start pretty tall. Oh, you know what I'm going to end up doing now that I think about it? I think we'll end up with deaf over here and ears over here. And then I'll write my title underneath that, because if I do deaf ears over here, all in the same, it was going to get, I don't know, we'll see. It wouldn't be so bad if I do it that way. I don't know, we'll figure it out. What's nice about deaf ears is that they're both 4-letter words, so they'll be very even. All right, before I do that, I need to get a couple different things out. Let me get my little test notebook out here. Get this guy ready here. I'll talk about what I'm doing here in a minute, but I just want to get this kind of on. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. I've got so much. Maybe that'll work. That'll help. All right, so let me test my D first. We always like to test stamps first to make sure everything looks good. That we don't have any, I think we're good, little hair or lint or something on there that's going to prevent the ink from sticking. Okay, so now what I just tucked under there is a pencil board. A pencil board is a fancy name for something flat that you slide under your paper to give you a flat surface to stamp on. In this example, if I didn't put a pencil board under there, when I went to try to stamp right here, well, look at what's right underneath what I want to stamp on top of it. That even little bit of a raised letter there can wreak havoc when I try to stamp because it's not an even surface. So a pencil board negates that. A pencil board gives me an even surface. Now, I put this little guy right here, a clip down here, because I'm trying to hold that, trying to get that to just hold flat. So it's not kind of, gravity's not playing with me. All right, so we want to start pretty tall, pretty high here. We said probably about right here. All right, there we go. There's our first one. Deaf ears. April said, I have totally searched Amazon for that Squirrel Lives Matter notebook. So it doesn't have that squirrel on it. You won't find that. That's one of my stickers. But April, if you send me an email, I will, I know I've shared the link before. My friend Allison sent that to me. It's so fun. They might not have the same one anymore on Amazon, but if I remember correctly, when I looked before and people were looking for something like that, there were a couple of different ones. I don't remember if, I mean, I know I found it, but that's been a while ago. So yeah, if you want to shoot me an email, I can try to look for you. Oh, Jillian, I think I just kind of answered your question, but maybe we need a new sticker. Maybe we need to design a new sticker, Amy, that says Squirrel Lives Matter. And it wouldn't be giant like that, but it would kind of be fun, right? Amy, will you do me a favor? Will you make a note of that? I think let's have our designer make one of those for us. I think that would be really fun. Squirrel Lives Matter, right? And if you're like, squirrel, I don't understand. Why does Squirrel Lives Matter? Or why are squirrels applicable in this scenario? Very long story, but squirrel is kind of our little mascot. Squirrel is our mascot. You know how people squirrel and get off topic? That would be me. And so that came about during the pandemic. And we have our little mascot. I don't know. He's here somewhere. Oh, my A is a little bit taller than the rest of them. Oh, well, that's okay. This is our mascot. This guy, Scatter. Scatter the squirrel. And so early in the pandemic, I ordered that on Amazon. And then when I showed him, people were like, he needs a name, he needs a name. I said, well, you guys name him. And so you guys named him Scatter. And so he's Scatter the squirrel. He's kind of the mascot. And yes, he has stamps. He has stickers. He has all pins. He's got all kinds of things now. Mug. I think mug? No. There used to be a mug with him on it. Not anymore. All right. Deaf ears. No, it's funny because this is a lined insert. Am I using the lines? No. No, not using the lines. See, Yolanda? In fact, I'm getting even higher. Oh, well. That's okay. Again, that's how we know it's not AI. That's all right. Deaf ears. I think it might be kind of fun. I think I'm going to do it on the other side as well. I mean, instead of stacking it here, I think we're going to do it on the other side. Deaf ears. So my entire title spans both pages. Oh, I haven't even been. So here's the deal. I think I know for me why that was happening. In fact, I'm going to fix it. I am using a round stamping block. And so it's not as easy to see where the bottom of the stamp is. So let's change that. It's the one that's the closest in size to it, but it's bringing in some other issues that I really don't want to have. Oh, and then, dummy. So then I pick another stamping block, and this is when I always like to say my blonde is showing, friends. So might as well use the grid on the stamping block, line my stamp up with that, so that I can see where I'm stamping and it's straight and I can stamp on the line, huh? I'm not going to worry about doing a pencil board over here because it's flat over here, right? This one's going to be much straighter. It should be at least, right? Yes, Louisa. So what happened was early days in the pandemic, our younger son, Sam, came home from college, right? Because everybody had to come home from everything. And he was bored to tears. So he was hanging out with me on my Saturdays. Because my very first Saturday listing session, well, maybe very first Saturday live, we didn't start listing for a couple weeks, was during the pandemic, the very beginning of the pandemic, basically the very first Saturday of pandemic. And so I didn't know what I was doing with lights or camera or anything, and it was kind of a hot mess, but it was fun because the whole world was a hot mess, so it was fine. Sam is in here with me because he's so bored. He just is hanging out with me, and it is hilarious. If you happen to ever go back and watch any of like the really early 2020 lives, they're hilarious because Sam's in here and he's sitting in a chair and he's reading the comments for me, and then he's like, Mom, why'd you do that? That makes no sense. Why did you say that? Why would you put that there? That doesn't look right there. And I'm like, dude, be quiet. You don't even know what you're talking about. Like, you're a kid and I'm the master, you're the kid. You know, it was so funny. And then so one day, so we're like bickering on camera and it was, you know, very real, but it was very funny. And so one day after one of the sessions, he's like, Mom, man, you get off track a lot. And I'm like, I know, but do you know your mother? I mean, I've been your mother your whole life. You know me. And he goes, yeah, I know. He goes, and I said, oh, well, I squirrel a lot. I squirrel. And he's like, squirrel? What do you mean squirrel? And I said, come on. You know the movie Up? And he goes, yeah. And I said, so you remember when Grandpa takes the dog, Doug, to the park, and Grandpa's sitting on the bench and the Doug the dog is sitting there and Grandpa's talking to Doug, and all of a sudden Doug sees a squirrel, the dog, and he goes, squirrel, and he, you know, gets distracted. And I said, well, that's what that means, it's a squirrel. And he goes, oh, you squirrel. And I'm like, I know, I do. So I said, you know what would be really fun? I'm going to go on Amazon and see if I can find a little squirrel. And so I found one, and then the next Saturday I'm like, hey, you guys, look what I found. And I told the story about Sam and the squirrel. And then that's, you know, that's the rest is history. He's kind of our little squirrel guy. So that's why you see squirrels, and you guys should see all the squirrels I have in my home. All of the things that you guys have bought for me and sent me, and cards and stickers and stuffed animals and cookie jars and ornaments, and it's so fun. Salt and pepper shakers. It's really fun. So there's a whole shrine downstairs of squirrels. But that's why sometimes you'll hear people say Squirrel Squad. Because that's then what the group, the community, decided to name themselves Squirrel Squad, which was very fun. All right, so deaf ears. And now under here, all right, advice I wish the boys would follow. How about that? Okay, I need to write this out so I can see how to split it. Advice I wish the boys would follow. I've got to split it between 2 pages. Advice I wish the boys would follow. I feel like it needs to stop in there because when you're speaking that's where you would kind of advice I wish the boys would follow. Instead of advice I wish the boys would follow. That's how I'm going to do it. Advice I wish. Advice I wish the boys would follow. And in this case, it's our boys, right? Not the boys in general, but our kids, our adult male children. All right, so for this list, I have pulled out some things from Vicky's Cut and Paste collection. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things on my list. And I am going to use the in the box stamp set. I forgot to pull that one out. Hang on. In the box stamp set. And I am going to... Oh, why isn't my little white card not in there? All right, so I'm going to stamp some boxes. And then I'm going to add a little icon accent to each of the boxes. So I have 2 pages, 5 things. I think I'll do 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll do 2 here, 3 over here. And then one of the 3 will be short. And then the rest will be big, like this. All right, so let's grab a different stamping block now. That's too small. This work? Yes. All right, so I am going to I don't know. I feel like you think about this for a minute, because I think that I will probably, it would be much easier excuse me if I just use one color, but that's not going to happen. So each of those boxes is going to be stamped a different color, and it will coordinate with whatever little icon is going to go with it. So the first one is going to be the cat. That's a funny one. So let's look at, I pulled out my swatches here. Let's see what color we want to go with that. I mean, I think maybe peacock feathers would be great. Peacock feathers, broken china. Peacock feathers. All right, so let's grab peacock feathers. If I can see it here. All right. And we need to go back to our little guy here. And do this. Ugh. All right, and then we need to test this. Where did my, oh, here we go, I put it away. So with this particular list, like I said, I'm doing this about our kids, the boys. Do the icons match what you are going to put in the box? They do, Joe Disney fan, they do. The icon, well, kind of. A couple of them do, but then some of them don't at all because I couldn't find things that would work. These are all things from Vicky's cut and paste collection. So some of them match, but some of them won't. They won't be quite as literal as others. The first one is very literal. All right, so I am applying my ink to that box. And let's just stamp this. Make sure we're good. We are good. We'll come back over here, move this in, re-ink. I need to re-ink because most of that ink is gone from my first stamped impression. Get that nice and inked up. And let's see. Let's put this guy. Oh, this is going to be, I don't know. This is going to have to go. Okay, hang on. I can only get so far, right? I can only get so far into that center. So I'm just going to have to try to make this work. I would have really rather if it could be more towards the center, but you just can't get in there, right? We can't get in there because it's too deep. Now, normally I wouldn't roll my stamp at all. I'm just going to a little tiny bit roll it that way. So I could get that part. I was worried that part wasn't going to get stamped. And in doing so, I got a little bit of ink right there. And that it is what it is. And that's not a bad thing necessarily, but I'm going to take a sand eraser and just try to erase a little bit of that. A sand eraser just has sand in it. It's got a little bit of grit. And it kind of worked, but not really. All right. That's all right. Once I write in that box, you won't even know the difference. You won't even know it was there. It'll be a little decorative accent. Get that cleaned off. All right. And then the very first one, this is funny. So I told you when Nick and I were before, he's like, what list are you doing? And I told him about this one. I go, so what's some advice you wish that the boys would have follow? And this is he said right off the bat, this one, right off the bat, which is funny. I already had this on my list and it's exactly what he said. So this is a cat, right? This is a cat. Some of you know the story about Reggie. And how Reggie is Sam's cat. And how Sam got Reggie when he was living in an apartment with a roommate. And Nick had always told the boys, advice he had given the boys that I wish, that, not really me, but that they would follow. So Nick had always told the boys, do not get a pet until you own your own home. Huh. That's how Reggie came to be my cat and me, his person. Now, I know that story. I will remember that story. I'm not spelling out that whole story here, but so Sam got a cat, even though he did not own his own home. And what do you know? Sam eventually moved out of that apartment. The next place he moved into, he couldn't have a cat. And Sam was very upset and had to come to his parents and say, Dad, you were right. I did not adhere to your advice, and now I'm in a bind, and can Reggie live with you? And yes, so Reggie lives with us. Stipulations, Sam has to, take care of him and come clean the litter box and all those things. But yeah, that was kind of just one of those things. That's a piece of advice that, oh, and Nick was so mad. He was so mad when he found out Sam got a cat. He's like, Sam, I told you. So when Sam came to ask if Reggie could live with us, he, hell no, I gotta see which one I'm gonna do next. This one is going to go next. Well, wait, maybe not. Yeah, some of these just aren't going to work. So I know what I want to use that one for. So we'll just we'll just do this one now, because it doesn't really, this one won't really apply, but I need something. So let's grab a yellow now. So Sam called and said, Mom, can I make an appointment to come talk to you and Dad? Which we're not that kind of family. You don't have to make an appointment to come talk to your parents. But I knew what was coming. The way I found out that Sam got a cat, because he kept it a secret for a while. Back then, well, still, his bank account is like under our umbrella of bank accounts. And I don't go in there and look anymore. But for a while there, Sam was not very responsible in how he was spending his money. And so I kind of keep an eye on things. And so one day I'm looking in his account and I see a charge to PetSmart, like a $90 charge to PetSmart. And I'm like, oh, Sam. So one day he came over, Nick was out of town. And I'm like, Sam, did you get a cat? Uh-oh. And he's like, what? And I'm like, Sam. And he goes, how do you know? And I told him, and he's like, don't tell Dad, don't tell Dad. I'm like, okay, whatever. So eventually Nick found out, and he's like, Sam, what did I tell you? I told you and your brother, don't, whatever. And Sam's like, it'll be fine, Dad. Oh, I don't want to do it that way. Shoot, I meant to go the other way. Oh, well, I wanted to go this way, so another icon would be over here. That's okay. So this is what happens. I was not paying attention. I didn't use a pencil board, and I put it on the wrong side. Anyhow, comes to talk to us, and he said, Dad, you were right. I made I can't take Reggie with me and to where I'm moving. And then he started crying. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then he said, could Reggie live with you guys? And we're like, okay, Reggie can live with us, but stipulations. You have to clean the litter box. You've got to come 3 times a week and clean the litter box, which he's not good at doing. You have to pay all the vet bills, buy all of his food, and when we are out of town, you have to come stay. And so that's good. But anyhow, yeah. Yes, April, Sam had to come hat in hand. He most certainly did, yeah. Oh, Marsha, that's a good one. Don't quit your job until you have another one. We have not run into that situation yet, but yeah, I'm sure that's advice that at some point, right, that we may need to share with them. But it's fun because there's always stories behind things like that, right? Always a story behind something like that. All right, next one is, let's see. This one will be, this one is going to be, take care of small problems before they turn into much larger problems that are much more difficult to fix. There are a number of those with both of our kids, right? They're kids. They're adults. They're adults, but still, right? We all still learn. One that came to mind there, both boys, when they were much younger, had problems with speeding tickets. And then not telling their parents that they had speeding tickets. And then it turning into a big issue because they forgot about said speeding tickets. Yeah, right? So take care of the problems when they're small so that they don't turn into giant problems, when you haven't taken care of them. Lots of those. Lots of those. Don't spend your bonus until the money is in your account. Oh, yeah. Carrie just asked a great question that I want to address. Carrie said, Lael, does your stamping bleed through to the page behind it? It depends, Carrie. So I am very careful when I am stamping directly on a page in my insert to look at what I did on the page before it. I was not worried about stamping here because I have something on top of this page. If I had not done that, if on this page I had written directly on the insert, I would have had a problem because these letters are fairly large and the black is really solid. There would be a little bit of shadowing or ghosting that I would have been able to see through on here. So it's always a good idea before you start stamping, look to see what you had done on a prior page. In that case, if I had done that, I'd probably be like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to skip to the next spread. And here I will do my stamping. And then here I will do something that won't affect what I've already done. Because you can kind of see here. Do you see a little bit of that shadowing or ghosting? And it's not bad. My paper in my inserts is a really nice quality. But sometimes you just can't get around that shadowing or ghosting. And I'll show you a really obvious example here. Like right here. Okay, this is composition notebook, really thin paper, but this is a really emphasized example of this. But do you see how you can see news through the backside there? That is what I mean when I say shadowing or ghosting. So you just need to be aware. Just look, just think about what you're doing before you do it. Always look to see what happened on the page prior before you start stamping. All right, so the next one we know we've got to go little. We've got to go to this little, next box is little. Because I need to fit 3 on here. All right, so this guy is, ooh, well I wanted to use this, but now I don't know if that's really large. It's really not going to work on that one. Well, I think we're going to now end up having, maybe this little tree will work here. Maybe this little tree will work here, even though I still kind of have a skinny box. We'll make it work. We'll do skinny box there. All right. Ooh, so you know what we could do? I don't ever use it. I rarely use it, but I think that's calling for a purple. So let's find a purple here. Red, orange, yellow. So mine I've sorted in terms of Reggie or the rainbows. So let's see what we have here. Wilted violet, that's kind of bright. Dusty concord, no. See those preserves, definitely isn't it. Dusty concord really isn't it either. So now, I mean, it's more actually, now that we look at it, it's really more like a navy. Not so much a purple, is it? Now that we see it. So maybe let's go back here and see if we find a blue that works a little bit better. It's kind of in between. It's an in-betweener. Yeah. You know what? Let's do shaded lilac. Why don't we do shaded lilac? I don't use purple often. No offense to purple, but it's just not really my thing. Not really my thing. Oh, let's have a quick hydration break, all right? Should we do that? Quick hydration break? I don't know. I feel like you guys need to see Reggie right now. Hang on. Joe Disney fan. Yes, she said, if it does bleed through, you can always cover with pretty paper. So here, I will be able to do that, right? Because I haven't done anything here yet. But if I did it here and I wasn't paying attention and I already had my list over here, I'm kind of SOL. I really kind of can't fix that. All right, watch this. So let me see. You're going to see the ceiling for just a minute. Wait, or can I, hold on. I'm going to try not to lose you while I do this. I just feel like we need a little break and you can kind of see Reggie for a minute. Oh, I do need to do this. So you're going to see the ceiling for a minute. Oh, that's me. We don't want to see me. Look at him. He has been sleeping on that box the entire time. And he's so giant that he's like, his poor little legs are just flopping off of the box. All right. Now, oh, okay, I gotta try to get this back in now without losing us. If I hit the wrong button, we will disconnect. Oh, we did it. Okay, good. Anyhow, that's a nice little break. Just a little break for a minute. All right, let's ink this guy up. I definitely want to get the next one at least. Okay, I for sure want to get the next one started. I'm going to say we'll probably go another hour. All right, that's my plan. Go another hour. We don't have that much longer to go on this list, and I really want to get the other one done. I want, because it's something fun. I mean, it's all fun, but all right. So I think we better do. Let's do it. Let's do this right here, so we can get a tree going to this way. This kind of needs to go high too. Ooh, okay. That was a little bit of a mess, wasn't it? That's all right. So I ended up getting some ink in that center section, and I got a little bit of ink there. That's all right. All right, let's get this little guy. And that's too much. I won't be able to erase that. I mean, I might be able to dull it a little bit, but let's see what we get. Move this a little bit more over here, so I don't want that stem to be so long that it's infringing in the space of the other guy. Yeah, I won't be able to erase that. Too much. Way too much. All right. This one is start saving money right off the bat before you how am I saying this? Basically, it's if you start saving out of your paychecks right off the bat, then you never miss it. Before you even miss it being there. That's probably more with Sam. Every time he gets a raise, I'm like, Sam, okay, now's the perfect time. Put that money into savings, or put most of it, or put half of it into savings. What your raise is, because you won't even miss it because you haven't had it. You'll never even miss it. But they don't. That's all right. We all have to learn, right? We all have to learn. And I'm sure if my mom did this list, maybe 20 years ago about me, I'm sure she'd have all kinds of things that would be on the list. She'd be like, Lael, I tried to tell you all of these things back then, and you'd think she'd tell me all this advice. I'd be like, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it to her, but in my head, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, whatever, Mom, whatever. And now with the boys, I'll tell them something. I'm like, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're saying to yourself. You're thinking, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've been there. I know, trust me, because I used to do that with my mom, right? Alrighty, so this one will go over here, and I'm going to do these two little guys, but I might cut one of those off. The other thing I'm going to do, because I am kind of tight here, right? So this one ends about right here, which means I don't have a lot of room there. So This guy is actually going to need to be stamped a little bit on top of that, I'm just going to stamp on top of it. I'm not going to mess with masking it on top of that stem. All right, yellow or orange. We're going to do orange. So that might be spiced marmalade. Yep. That was weird. I just opened right to it too. I'm sure, I know, this is the hard part, is so now it's about, well, it's 8:30 my time, but for some of you it's 10:30, right? And it's getting late. So that's, just what happens when we do a nighttime listing session. Some people have to come late because they've got work, and then some people have to leave early because they've got bed. All right, so this guy we're going to put over here and make sure he's high enough. I'm probably not going to like that I stamped on top of that little stem, but that's okay. Or trunk. It's not a stem, it's a tree trunk. Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. All right, so now we have this little orange slice. And I think what I might do, I'm going to do orange and strawberry, but I am just going to cut part of this orange off because I don't need it all. I think it would be better if just part of it's cut off. There, and then we'll put a little strawberry here. And this one has to do with diet and exercise are more important than you know. When you get older, it's much harder to what am I going to say here? To get and stay healthy than when you're young. Now, I do not have an update. I'm not sure what the update is with Jack. How he is faring at the ER. I need to ask Nick to come in here and tell me really quickly. But I think if it is kidney related, I think it's because he was outside at a lake all day. I think over the weekend, he said. And he said, I probably didn't drink enough water. So I don't know if what he is experiencing is because of that, or if he's just, not been taking care of himself, or he's got a kidney stone, and just sometimes you get a kidney stone and it's nothing that you've done. So I don't know. We'll see, right? We will see. In fact, let me just not yell at him, but really quick. Hey, Nick. Nick.
Yeah.
You have any update?
Yeah.
Any update?
No, just waiting for more results.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, no, just waiting for more results. All right, this one. Oh, that was going to be the money one. All right, that's fine. No, this will be this guy, and this guy will go right here. And we'll use a green. Well, kind of greenish. Let's see, what color do we want to go with that? Green, green, green. Not peeled paint. Cracked pistachio, maybe? I think that works. Let's do cracked pistachio. All right. Let me see. But also, now is also not the time, when they're in the ER to be like, hey, dummy, have you been taking care of yourself? Have you been drinking water? Have you been eating right? Have you been exercising? Yeah, not the best time. So that'll be a conversation for later. That kind of conversation, for whatever reason with Jack, is taken much better when it comes from his father than his mother. So Nick will be having that conversation. Sometimes you just need a wake-up call. And I'm not trying to be cavalier about it. I'm just jumping to the conclusion that it will be something that's not bad. Or, manageable, not super serious. Carrie said, I always told the girls every time you get a raise, increase how much you put into your retirement. Yes, right? Exactly. And the whole concept of a 401k, I mean, yeah. It's like, no, really, it's really smart to do that. Because it's before taxes, and sometimes your employer matches what you put in up to a certain amount. It's like free money. But yeah, I know, when you're young and you start, earning an income, and sometimes you don't want to save it. It's not very fun to think about saving it, right? But then when you get to be our age and you start thinking about retirement, you're like, oh yes, yeah, I'm glad I did that when I was back in my first job. Although Sam's starting to get a better handle of that. I think he's starting to really figure that out. All right, the last one is, yes, okay. This one. Finish school. I'm writing it again. Finish school. I need to figure out how I am writing this because I don't have anything written down other than finish school. We wish the boys would have taken this advice, but they're adults and needed to chart their own course. For different reasons at different times, both the boys were in college and left college and didn't go back. Jack got about halfway through his junior year and needed to leave. It was not a good mental health situation for him, and he needed to leave, and he did. And when he told us that's what was going on, he said, but I know what I want to do. I want to go to culinary school. And we said, okay. Sam was in his freshman year, his first semester of college, and then the pandemic hit. And so came home and did a semester online, and that was a disaster. Not everyone can learn that way, and Sam certainly wasn't one, especially after the first semester of college, and he didn't go back. And both the boys are exactly where they are supposed to be, and doing well in their careers, and they're happy, and it's just, and that one's an easier way now. That one, it took both Nick and I a while to kind of come to terms with that's, what they wanted to do, and that's they're adults and they need to do what they think is right for them. But it's interesting how, sometimes your kids know better than you do. And of course they know themselves better than we do. So that's my list. And it's a pretty simple one, right? It's pretty plain. I might just come in here and maybe underline this just so it's a little bit more obvious of what's happening there. Like that. And then do this guy like this. This one I need to date. I didn't date the other one yet because I'm not, I want to do my photos in there and then figure out if I'm decorating more, and then I will, date that. But I always think it's really important to date your lists. So let's just do that right over here. This is August 27, 2025. Okay. And I had pulled out, when I was pulling things out, I had pulled out all of these things. Just I thought maybe they'll work in somewhere, but they really don't. You know, they really don't work anywhere. They really don't need to work anywhere, right? So I think we're good. There were a couple of word things that I thought this was an interesting one, beyond expectations. So that was kind of interesting. Maybe that should go there. And actually it kind of works really well there because it's teal and it fills in that space. So beyond expectations, that's kind of an interesting statement for this list. Beyond expectations. And then I'm like, oh, so do I need a yellow one to go here? But I don't have one. So I think that will be okay. I may later come back in and I think this was the only other one in the pack. And that might, well, actually, no, I'm not going to put that there. I'll decide if I want to put something there later. I don't know that that's finished. This part's kind of bugging me a little bit, but I don't want to just put something there now to put something there now. I really need to go through the rest of that die cut pack and see if, there's something that would fit. I feel like we need a yellow there since we have a teal there. So I'll wait and see. I won't go through all that stuff now to try to find something so we can jump to our next list. But you may see that I end up with something there. Alrighty, so let's get ready for our last list. If you are getting to the point where you're like, oh, I think I'm out. The after party giveaway. So leave a comment on the video when it's over. Before we're listing together again, I think it's on the 7th. Oopsie, sorry. I think it's on the 7th, Saturday the 7th. I will draw one random lucky winner from the comments on the video, and that person will also win a $25 gift certificate, coupon code, whatever to use on the website. So that's the after party giveaway. All right. So for our third list is a list that we do once a month. There's kind of a set of lists that we do once a month. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I am going to cheat. This is the last spread in my insert. And it just starts to get a little bit hard to work because there's so much mass there. I am going to adhere those last two pages together. And now it's the end of my insert, which means I can go to a new insert. It'll just be easier to work with. Usually that last one or two starts to get just a little tricky to work with. So done. Done. Amy, that will be the next one that goes off to you for photography for the idea book. Now I have a brand new one. Brand new. Okay. So our last list in our first insert, as I was saying, is a list that we do once a month. We do about last month once a month. We do in the news once a month. We do glimmers once a month. And we do something called What a Day once a month. So What a Day is basically just a little snapshot in time of a day in your life. Let's see if I can find the last time we did that. There should be one in here. I would think there should be one in here, maybe. Anyhow, if I can't find one, then it's in the last one. So then I guess maybe it's been a while. Maybe we did it. Ooh. Oh, there it is. Duh. So actually, this is probably not a very good one to look at because it's a little bit confusing. Because it's different than I would normally do. Let me pull out this guy. This is the Listing with Lael idea book number 3. I should mention they don't come... Ooh, what did I do there? They don't come this way. They don't come spiral bound. I just spiral bound mine so it's easier for me to look through when we're together. So page 15, they come bound, or just anyhow. What a day. So the whole idea about What a Day, like I said, I hit something there, sorry, is that you are making a list of what you did in a particular day. So here's an example. What a day, May 29th, 2024. Used the What a Day stamp set and just started listing what I did that day and did a little bit of decorating over here. It's like a little snapshot in time, like a little time capsule. And sometimes I pick regular days. Sometimes I do days when we're on vacation. I try to get a really good mixture of days. Jen, aka Skuna, my shirt. My friend Vicky gave it to me probably 10 years ago or more. Like 10 years ago or more. So I don't know where she got it, and it's been a really long time. All right, so what a day. This What a Day is August 22nd. August 22nd was the first full day back after our trip. We had 32 hours of travel to get home. So August 22nd was a very different day in the life of Lael than a normal day because of the jet lag. So what I'm going to do here, I am pulling out this collage book again. I used this collage book when we were together on Saturday. And I pulled, I cut out this little lady. And she was kind of the main attraction for my list. This kind of collage style, and this is not necessarily the collage style that you'll see me do here. This collage style is what I've kind of been doing for a while in my kind of travel junk journal. So where I am cutting things out of brochures, travel brochures, maps, adding stickers, like this little guy, this little ram I cut out of a travel brochure. So it's kind of a big junk journal where you're taking the things that you find and putting them into whatever, you're working in, whether it's a traveler's notebook or, some other kind of notebook or a planner or something like that. This style of journaling I really like. It's very freeing to me because I'm not really worried about where I'm putting things. I'm putting business cards and all different kinds of things like that in. These are things I pick up along the way when I am traveling, right? So I grabbed this when we were in Cape Town. The official visitor's guide. It's free. It includes maps and things to do. And it has Cape Town on it. So as I look through here, there are all kinds of things. Like right off the bat, I look at that. I'm like, Navigator. I love that. That doesn't have to be something specific to Cape Town, that trip. But Navigator, I can use that for all kinds of things. And then I look at things like this. I could cut this out. Hello, discover, explore, stay, eat, drink, see, and do. So I am constantly looking for things like this when I'm traveling. A night to remember. I would just cut that out. I don't need the part about Cape Town. I just like that part that says a night to remember. So when I'm working in my travel junk journal, I am like cutting all kinds of things like this out and then just gluing them into my junk journal. All right. Now, this one is pretty specific to travel. And a lot of times I want to do this style, but I want to do it in other formats, like on a list. That's where, for me, a book like this comes in, this even more extraordinary things to cut out and collage. So this book, and I have this one on my website. There are two of these. One is called Extraordinary Things to Cut Out and Collage, and this one's called Even More Extraordinary Things to Cut Out and Collage. This one has over 1,500 images. It's basically one giant magazine or book like that you just come in and cut out your little images or icons or things that you want to use. All right, so when you don't have things like this, or you need beyond things like this, then a book like this is kind of a fun thing to have. So I am going to, you want to see my sketch? Here's my sketch. So here's my deaf ears and my sketch of the boxes. Here's my sketch of the little icon, right? My ZAF. Here's my sketch of my What a Day list. So this is a 2-page list. And I have kind of added little sticky notes of things that I wanted to work with. So, and these are just cutouts. They're not stickers. This book would be way more expensive if they were giant stickers. So we kind of have to cut things out. this guy, this little bed, because I did some sleeping this day. Well, part of the day I did not sleep, and part of the day I did sleep. So I thought the bed would kind of be fun. So I'm going to use the bed. And then there was, try and go in order here, this little lady who's like sitting on a bed. And I thought, well, that would kind of be fun. Stephanie, you're right. Stephanie said it's a return to scrapbooking, right? Or junk journaling. Junk journaling, people have been doing for a long time, but it seems to kind of be having a resurgence this year. I don't know, maybe this year, last year, whatever you want to say, but it's a style that I've been doing in my travel junk journal for quite a while. It's just, to me, it's very freeing and it's fun and it's playful. And so this lady I'll cut out and she'll be sitting on, she'll kind of be sitting here perched on the bed. All right. So then I also, on this page, I was going to do this thank you, like this gift check. Gift check, guest check. I don't know. You know what I mean, not gift check. Because I will need a little bit of a background on there. So I thought that might work to go on there. And then let's see what else I had here. Oh, we'll come back to the flowers in a minute. So I know I need an airplane because I've got some jet lag. I just don't know which one I want to use yet. So I'm going to come back to the airplane. This paper in the back, this cloud paper, I am going to use as the base for this page over here. And I'll still do, I will still do white. I'll still do my white cardstock on top because I just have to do that because I can't do it without that. So let's cut this out. We'll cut part of it out. I don't need all of it, just part of it. That will be my base for my left page. And then I'm going to do kind of a collage on the right page. So if you have old magazines at home, you could certainly kind of look at your old magazines and see if you have things that you can cut out. But something like this just makes it a no-brainer. You've got like 1,500 images, so you can go for quite a while. All right, then we're going to do some flowers, also kind of worked in on this side, on the right side. So let's see what we want. Maybe these would work. I kind of want to work in almost like the whole background will be flowers. And it's definitely a different style. I mean, and it's certainly not for everybody. There's something about this junk journal type style that just, like I said, it's very freeing to me. You can kind of get really playful. It's almost like there aren't any rules. What else might we want? Maybe, I don't know, maybe this guy. We'll get a couple cut out and then we'll start working and see what happens. Now I am going to need to come in with smaller scissors, right? So let's put this off to the side. I'm going to get fairly close here and then I'll come in with my fussy cutting scissors. But I'm trying to just cut quickly a bunch of that excess away because that will make my fussy cutting go a lot easier. All right, so I'm trading the scissors now for my fussy cutting scissors. Joe Disney fan said, let's see, I guess it makes it easier if you can use the images from the outside in so they stay in the book longer and you don't lose the cutouts. So here's the deal. Most of these books are arranged by topic. So what I will probably do as I start using more and more of some of the pages and there's not much left to a page, I will take that book and I will put it in one of my craft storage pouches and then have other loose pages just in there, or loose images in that same craft storage pouch. So I think it would be, if it would work, if they were all just kind of random, it might work to work front to back, but because they're more by topic, it's probably a little bit harder to do that. Well, they'll just sit in the little zipper pouch and kind of stay contained that way. And, it does take a little bit more work. Certainly, if they were stickers, it'd be a lot easier and faster. But it'd probably make that book 10 times as expensive. All right, we know we want to do this. I won't bother with my trimmer. We'll just kind of come in with my scissors and trim that guy out. This will just give me kind of a nice background, so the whole page won't be flowers. So go in here somewhere. Ooh, we've got to get the bed. Let's get the bed next. This is just like such a like kitschy. I mean, it's so funny, right? And when I started thinking about, okay, what, based on I know what's on my list, which happened that, you know, whatever happened on August 22nd in my life. Like I said, sleeping was a big part of it, both sleeping and the lack of sleeping. So when I first started looking for images, I went to household. And I found this bed and I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect. And it's kind of this fun, older looking not four poster, but the headboard with the 2 posts. And you can kind of tell based on the little bedspread, it looks like it might be from the 60s or the 70s. So it's kind of fun. All right, there's the bed. So the bed will end up being down here somewhere, which means I'll probably end up having to put maybe some more flowers down because I really don't want any of the paper to show underneath. Here's my little lady who's looking very startled for some reason. Oh, I didn't use my fussy cutting scissors on this. That's all right. She's looking very startled. She will perch right there on the bed like that. Isn't that kind of fun? I mean, just different, right? And I think you're either of the camp where you're like, oh yeah, this would be totally fun. Or you're like, what the heck? Yeah, no. You're like, this is not me. Which is totally okay, right? Doesn't have to be you. Because it's me. But I tell you, I look at when I started kind of doing the junk journaling in my travel junk journal, I don't walk past one of those stands in the airport or a hotel without grabbing stuff. You know what I mean? The wooden stands that have the maps and the brochures and all that. I always grab them because you never know when there's a word or a phrase or, you know, something that you like and you're like, oh yes, I need that. That would be great. Brenda said, I had a bed like that when I was a child. I am vintage though. Nah. You're a classic. All right, what tennis match is going on? I can hear Nick in the other room as tennis on. All right. So do you guys do a list like this with me, like a mini time capsule? A lot of the lists that we do are time capsules. Because obviously this guy is a particular day. This is a particular day in my life. So it's just a little mini time capsule. Things like what's in my purse, mini time capsule. What's in my fridge, definitely a mini time capsule. We've done what's in my fridge a couple times. And when we do what's in my fridge, that definitely is specific to a point in life, right? Because when I do a what's in my fridge now, well, Nick and I are empty nesters. So we don't have like milk in our fridge. We don't have Go-Gurt in our fridge. We don't have string cheese in our fridge. So we don't have dino chicken nuggets in the freezer, right? Those were things when our kids were young. We had those kind of things, but we don't have those things now. So very much tells it's a time capsule. It tells a story at about a particular point in your life. So what a day. That's what a day does. We were talking earlier about how I wish I had a list of like that my mom or grandmother, some of like if they had been doing creative, not even creative lists, if they had just been making lists, how awesome would it be if I had a list like this of a typical day, my grandmother in the 50s, or a typical day of my mom in the 70s. again, it goes back to, you know, what the typical day of for us now, but to someone, even ourselves in 10 years will be like, oh my gosh, remember that was my life back then? And it's so different now. What am I doing? I just sat there for about 30 seconds looking for this book in my head. You didn't know that's what I was doing, but in my head, I'm like, where is that? I think I need more flowers. So where'd my flowers go? Just a few more flowers here. Whoopsie. We're getting there, right? We just need to be able to add a few more, maybe just up there. So let's see what we need to go up there. You know, this one actually, this one might be kind of fun because it's kind of going off the page. Let's try this guy. I'm going pretty quickly as I'm cutting. I'm not really trying to be too precise here, so I'm just sticking with my other little skizzers. Doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo. All right, because this guy could kind of come. Oh, what if we did this? What if we kind of cut it this way so that part of it could be over and part of it could be under this little guy. No, it doesn't work that way, Lil. It's got to go the other way. Which then is a bummer because then I lose part of that leaf. Actually, let's go all the way up to here. Like this maybe? And then the leaf could hang down. Oh yeah, that'll be fun. Let's see how that works. I do need to cut around this though. No rules. There are definitely no rules to this. Okay, this is going here. What was I doing? I'm not sure what I was thinking there. What was I thinking? I don't know. We're just going to do this. Beep. And then maybe this kind of comes over here. I don't even know what I was thinking there. That's a mess. That's a hot mess. That'll work. All right. Let's look and see how we're coming along here. I feel like we kind of want that thank you to be there a little bit, maybe, that we can see that a little bit more. Here's our little gal on the bed. Here's our airplane. That's a start. All right, so now what I'm going to do is this. I need this magic tape, highlighter tape. So I kind of get all these where I'd like them to be. But if I have to pick each one of those up individually, I will never get those all placed in that same place again, right? If I use this highlighter tape, I am adhering it to the pieces so that they all are connected. Ooh, that guy's not connected yet though. So I'm basically taking all these separate pieces and making them one piece by taping them all together. Like that. This is reusable, repositionable highlighter tape. It is intended for highlighting like things in textbooks and things like that. And because it's removable and repositionable, it makes it very easy to remove it from whatever you've put it on. Like if you put it on a page in a book, right? In this case, you don't have to worry about the print coming off. That's why it works so well for this. So I can kind of put all my pieces together, tape them down to each other. And now instead of all of those separate pieces, I have one piece. My bed is falling a little bit. There we go. I have one piece. So now I can turn that over and adhere it as one piece. And then when I put it back down, all those pieces are where I wanted them. It's just an easy way to turn a whole bunch of pieces into one piece to make it easier to work with. Okay, This will come over here. I'll end up adding a few more pieces just so it's filled in. I want it filled in more. It's not filled in quite enough for me. Now, a couple of these pieces, like this guy, sat mostly on top of the bed. So I need to put that one down separately. Her, I need to add a little bit more adhesive to. The plane, I think, oh yeah, the plane we need to add adhesive to because it really didn't have anything behind it. And this little guy here, add some adhesive too. I think we're probably pretty good. And now I can just get my little tweezers and pull off this little tape. Come on. There, oh, come on. Come on up, dummy. All right, there we go. That for me, before I found this tape, well, Amy introduced me to this tape. But before that, I would like take a picture. So I'd like take a picture of how it was all laid out, and then I'd try to pick it all up and make it, you know, look how the way I had it before. You can never quite get it back to the way you had it before. You notice that whenever you do that. So that's just an easy way. Easy way to turn, whoopsie, a whole bunch of that I dug into with my tweezers. You're probably looking at the top of my head now. Apologies for that. Yeah, that came up because I dug into it with the top of my tweezers. Dang it. Oh, it's fine. It just looks like a rose. So I think what we're going to end up doing, what time is it? 9:08. All right, we'll go to 9:30. I will get started on the other side of the page, but I think what we'll end up doing is finishing this. Oopsie. Finishing this list next time we're together because it's getting late. Come on, little lady. Uh-oh. Trying to go too fast there. All right, last one. Oh, come on. Part of it. Keep getting part of it. All right. And another little piece. Okay, so it's coming along. We gotta get some adhesive behind her little head there. And behind this little flower. All right, so now over here, I need to trim this down because this is going to be the base of my list over on this side. So I need this to be 5 by 8.25. Let's see this. This is the straight side, right? Straight side. So let's do, or excuse me, 4 3/4 by 8. My page is 5 by 8.25, but I would like this to be, oh my goodness, guess what I just did? Okay. I trimmed it to 3 3/4 because it's getting late. It's okay. I'm going to fix this. You'll never even know. No, I got to figure out where it was though. Not that way. It was together like, which side did it go on? Was it like that? Okay. So this one I'm going to trim to 8. And then I am going to grab a little bit of Scotch tape. And I'm going to put it just right where the, oh, that doesn't go there. It goes there. I'll put it in the center where my white cardstock is going to go, so you won't even see it. There we go. And now I need to make that edge straight. Now we'll trim it so it's 4 3/4 instead of 3 3/4 Lael. Oh, over here. All right, there we go. Get rid of my sky. Yes, what a day. Thank you, guys. Hey, right? Like, what is this list going to be about that you're doing, Lael? All right, now we need to round these outside corners. And then let's get this really adhered, that part. Turning it upside down, I do better that way, right-handed. Okay, now this little part here, is it okay? Well, it'll be okay once I put my white cardstock onto it. Yep, you'll never even know. See, don't panic. Don't panic. I didn't panic. There's always a way to fix it. There's always a way to do something. And then if there isn't, just remember it's art. And if somebody asks you why you did that or it looks funny, you say because it's art. Because I can. Because I wanted to. All right. White cardstock. I think I had one before. I don't know where it went. We'll make a new one. Actually, let's do this. What if we, instead of our white cardstock, what if we go with a piece of that? That is, which one is that? The 6x8 lined notebook paper. So that's what we're going to use. And do I want to keep the red stripe? No. No, I'm going to keep the red stripe. So let's eyeball this. About right there. And about right there. So it's probably going to be about 7 and by probably about 7 by 3 3/4, I'm guessing. 3 3/4. Just eyeball. By, well, I won't pull that out. Almost 7. All right, so this will go over here. This will be my list that I do the what a day on. I've got things on top of things on top of things. Now, sometimes when I am in my travel journal, sometimes I work in like paper crafting things, so it's not all this. Sometimes usually if I'm doing that, rub-ons are really easy to add, I think, and other things like the 49 and Market laser cuts kind of are fun to add. I generally find things that I can mix in really easily in my little junk journal. All right. So when we are together again, this is what I'll start with. I will start out with, Ashley, I'll answer your question in one sec. I will start out with this stamp set, the What a Day stamp set. So I basically build out the information for the day. So this is August 22nd. I will stamp August, and then I'll do the 2 and the 2, and then the ND. So August 22nd. And then I generally like to do this little guy, the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I circle whichever one it is. And then I just make my list. And so my list is basically just Sometimes I'll do like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or however many things. Other times I will just have bullets and I'll just be like, I did this, I did this, I did this, 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 and this, and then it'll kind of be done. So that is the plan. Ashley. Oh, Amy, thank you. Amy just added a link. Ashley, I use a Nina Bright White. It is a really nice quality, pretty, it's nice and it's got a nice kind of thickness to it. And it has no texture. It's a smooth bright white. So I find that when I'm stamping, having a cardstock like that, if it's smooth and it's nice quality, you get a really good, nice stamped impression. If you're using a piece of cardstock, in that case, like a white cardstock that's really fibrous, sometimes the fibers will soak up the stamping and it kind of tends to feather a little bit. If you ever notice that, sometimes when you're stamping, your stamped image looks like it's kind of feathering out a little bit. That may be, usually it's because of the paper. There's something going on with the paper that it's just soaking up the ink and it's kind of feathering a little bit. So I think cardstock can play a huge factor in your stamping. What you're stamping on can play a huge factor. Almost as important as the quality of stamp is the quality of paper. All right, friends, so I have some more work to do. And as I said, we will continue on with this list when we are together again. I believe that's going to be Saturday the 7th. I don't have my calendar in front of me to know, but I'm pretty sure it is the 7th, on the 7th. What I will do before we get together again, though, I will kind of look through some more flowers. I know I need to bring in a little bit. I would like to bring in a little bit of blue, right? Because there's a lot of blue over here, and they kind of look like two totally disparate pages. They don't have to go together, right? Junk journaling is totally free. You can do whatever you want, wherever you want, however you want. But I would like, I think, there to be a little bit more, kind of a little more blue over here, and then we'll kind of put some things over here too. So it's a fun start, and like I said, we will continue on with that when we are together again. So let me rotate the camera here, friends. I have not had enough to drink while I have been listing here. I can feel that my lights are, I can feel that my throat is, I mean, it's not hurt, it's just a little strained. My voice is a little strained. All right. Get some lights on, some lights turned so I don't scare you when I rotate the camera. All right, rotating. Woo, there we go. There we go. Joe Disney fan, I know you were asking about the lined paper. My lined notebook paper and my grid paper come in two sizes, 6x8 and 12x12. So if you are, Joe, are you going to Ready, Set, Create? I can't remember. Anyhow, but there are two sizes, 6x8, 12x12. So depending on how you craft, obviously you can get a 6x8 out of a 12x12. But if you like to work in 12x12 size, then it's nice to have a 12x12 too. All right, my friends, I am just looking at chat. I think we're good. Oh, September 6th. Thank you, Amy. We're listing together next Saturday, September 6th at 9 a.m. Pacific. Anyways, thanks for joining me tonight. It's always fun, I think, to do a nighttime listing session every once in a while. Sometimes my schedule dictates that we have to do that, but sometimes it's just fun to throw a fun one in. Because at nighttime, you know, some of you can never make a Saturday because Saturday is life, right? So sometimes you are able to make a Saturday, or excuse me, make a weeknight if you can't make a Saturday. So always just kind of a little bit different on a weeknight. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy Labor Day weekend. This is kind of the last hurrah of summer, right? Ooh. And then we start moving into fall, which I know I like fall too, but summer is my thing. I love summer. So have a great, wonderful rest of August, the night, the week, last holiday of summer, and I hope to see you guys here listing with me again on a Saturday, or maybe a class in the future. All right, take care. Thanks for joining. Bye. Bye. Oh, and now Reggie, it's so funny. I just have to show you because I get such a kick out of this. So hang on. Oh, hey, guess what? I'm still here. Isn't that funny? That's hilarious. So I don't know. Some of you may still be here, but you may not be here. Anyhow, somehow when I tried to turn the camera, I lost you, and I was trying to show you Reggie, but anyhow, he knows when I'm done, and it's funny because he knows. He just like hears me say goodbye, and then he lifts up his head and he's like, "Okay, I guess we're done." So now you see where he is. You see where he is? Do you see where I was working right there? That's where I was working. And now he's there. Hi, Reg. Hello. Hello. Say goodbye. Say bye-bye. All right, my friends. Goodbye. Now I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye. Maybe. Oh, my gosh. Oh, I know. He's like sits in the middle of everything, right? Okay. Oh, my heavens. Okay, this is funny. Hold on. I got to try to put this back here.